Wait for it. We're live.
Whoa, PogChamp! Welcome everybody to
God.
Plat Valorant episode 223. People were asking me like, well, what the hell are you guys going to be discussing on this episode? Because like, you know, stage 2 predictions or there's roster news. There's insane amounts of roster news that I don't know whether you could argue that we weren't supposed to be covering it, but we just ignored it. We've just been ignoring it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So now we've brought on people that actually know what they're talking about, like Mini, and people who don't know what they're talking about, but we enjoy having around anyway, like Akeman and TMV. So between the four of us, and actually people have been clamoring for us to bring on Brazilian experts for a while, and we've got a Brazilian caster, Nyang, who used to be a pro player as well way back in the day, who's coming on later to discuss some of the Americas moves, including a bunch of the Brazilian scene too. So that's sick. That's awesome.
Strange that Brent isn't also on the episode today. It's weird how that worked out.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, for what, to discuss all of Brazil, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are making changes, so maybe it's okay.
We have to hide him away, and we have to hide me away anytime we talk about the Pacific region as well. So God help me at the start of this show. And Minnie, I just want to check in with you, because you're in a different environment. Are you doing okay, bud?
Yeah, how bad is this? Is it that bad that it's just laughable? So, like, context, I was on holiday, watching Paper X poolside win a trophy. I come back, my internet's not working, and my friend kindly lets me use his house. 10 minutes ago, I test the microphone, and you guys are like, this is crap. So I go to the living room, like, bro, like, your mic's crap? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, you know it's for Plat chat? He's like, yeah. So that's pretty much the summary. If we get, like, a break between, I can quickly dip in and out and try and fix it. But for now, it's going to be me finding my moments to speak and just being quiet. The rest of it, I think.
I like it. No, I like it. It's
Yeah,
it really feels like a proper esports podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I tell you what, I
Very
do
early
listen.
days.
I listen to some, I mean, more serious, like adult podcasts where they're just talking about like boring shit, like politics and stuff. And the amount of people that they frequently have on that have mics worse than yours is insane. Like somebody needs to go out there and give the boomers proper microphones, because the amount of people they've got calling in discussing like the Middle East in headsets like you. Like,
He's got
insane.
2 monitors, like a full gaming rig. He's got a Dyson fan at him. He's got like a nice chair. Like he's spent thousands on this setup, and his microphone is this. Like I don't get it.
Maybe he probably has better microphones. He just has a very low opinion of this podcast.
Yeah.
So he just
Yeah,
used
maybe.
the crappy one.
He deliberately sabotaged Plat chat by giving you that. Dude, I've been playing a bunch of REMATCH recently. If you haven't seen it, great game. I mean, it's actually just, it looks so fun. I feel like I'm going to hook TMV with it as well, because TMV's got a background in football coaching, and it's basically just like,
Oh, this
you know,
one. Yeah.
yeah, it's the like, you're a football player, but it launches you into the game and it defaults to open mic. And so I'm doing my like streamer voice stuff, just broadcasting to all of the people on my team, like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And some guy goes, oh, we got a streamer on the team, guys. So maybe that's what your friend is like trying to avoid, is getting caught with like too good of a microphone, because then you expose
They should
yourself.
have that be proximity as well, so you really have to yell to communicate with people downfield.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Screaming at them.
Proximity chat would be great for that kind of thing.
Can
Actually.
you flame the other team with the microphone, or is it just your teammates?
It's only your teammates, unfortunately.
I
Again,
really
if we
miss
had this
that.
proximity chat and you're marking someone.
That'd be amazing. We were playing customs though, where you can play just like 5v5. So we had 10 people in the same Discord channel, and then you can start flaming people. It doesn't matter about proximity or not. Anyway, let's get
Josh,
into
I
some
think I
Valorant,
found the
shall we?
clip. I don't.
Oh
it,
no!
like,
Don't play it,
appropriate?
please. It's weapons grade cringe. It's
Is
weapons
that
grade
fine?
Oh,
cringe.
please play it.
But it's
Please
not going to get us
play it.
demonetized, though, right?
Oh,
No, it's not going to
It's
get you
just cringe?
demonetized. But everyone will leave.
That's fine.
Every viewer
I
will
don't
leave.
care. I don't care.
Me watching them play the game. Go on, kick it, cure. but honestly, when the ball's down my end, cinema. Actually, cinema. This is like Rocket League.
Stun locked you.
I can't even like, dude, I'm just holding my breath trying not to say anything. It's the worst experience ever,
That
man.
is so funny.
just getting caught using like streamer language, like cinema as well.
It's
just,
cinema, bro. Oh my god.
dude, actually kill me. Kill me.
Also, for what it's worth, Josh already demonetized us. He said shite earlier.
Oh, that's not a swear word. That's not a swear word. It's
It's not a swear word
region
according
of
to
Yorkshire.
YouTube. It is a
Oh,
region of
oh.
Yorkshire.
Yeah, yeah.
If that's the case, I would have.
The Hobbits were from the Shite. Shire. Let's get into some Valorant stuff, okay? So, a call to action for all of you in the chat, all right? Valorant is turning 5 this year. You see tons of people over at Masters Toronto doing like, 5-year celebration, yada, yada, yada. So we were thinking, what's a cool thing that we can do for 5 years of, just Valorant in general, but also Plat Valorant. One of the things we thought it's actually about, the game's been out long enough to do, is a top 10 players of all time. So I feel like the game has only just been out long enough where you can start having these conversations really seriously. But we are creating for next week a top 10 players of all time list, and you can contribute with your own community one, like you do when we go into the Masters events. You can check the description of the video to submit yours for next week's episode. You can click a drop down. It's a Google form, and you click a drop down, and it's got like hundreds of players in it just to account for whatever kind of ridiculous people you think are actually in the top 10 of all time. It doesn't have everyone there, obviously, because that would be absolutely ridiculous. But it does have a lot of people that I'm expected to get 0 votes. So
Josh
we'll
is
see
taking
about
out
that.
all the Paper X players. There's no.
No, but we had to cross-check like each other's lists quite a few times to make sure that everyone that you might even conceivably think is on there. For example, I was looking at the earnings list of Valorant. I believe Com is #1 in all-time earnings for Valorant, or at least that's what it says.
It's
on
actually
it.
a tier 2 NA player.
What do you mean?
It's. Think about it.
Who? Com?
Oh, nice.
Josh,
Nice.
please.
Dude,
use
I'm
some
lost
of
in
your
the source.
brain.
I'm lost.
Sean Garrett.
Just think a little bit. Just
I
take
see.
Take a breath.
It's a match-fixing allegation.
Okay, there you go.
I understand.
He's turning red as a fucking tomato.
Dude, it's warm in here. My brain's been overheating for days. I'm feeling the secondhand cringe of the clip being played earlier on. I feel like I'm
very
being
red
attacked
now.
on all fronts.
How
Let's
would
move
you
on.
rank IGLs in your list, by the way? Just before. Like, would you put
Oh, like as
Monster
in
in
when
the
you
top
put
10?
them in? That's an interesting question.
See, here, I think there's a difference between a top 10 list and a greatest players list.
I
I think this
agree.
is supposed to be a greatest players list.
Okay.
And for me, great also means accomplishments. And so I think if you had somebody like Boaster who's led teams to an enormous amount of success, that he would qualify, even if, he might not be like a top 10 player of all time in terms of like impact in the server or something. So yeah, I think it depends on why. How do you think about these kind of things?
I think I almost exclude IGLs just because people usually do that. And then you just have like a separate list. But honestly, if you truthfully did it, IGLs would be in the top 5, like probably.
How many IGLs?
Probably 2 or 3.
I think they would have to be in 2 to 6 because #1 is going to be Carpe because this is open to fan submission. So
Of
Carpe
course.
will be put at #1 of the best player of all time.
Is he even on the list? Was he available
should
for
be.
people to click on? Why should he be? Give me the case for
he
Carpe
played,
for
he
greatest
played
of all
enough
time.
he played enough to at least have a consideration. I'm not saying he should make it into the top 10.
He hasn't played a lot in the history of Valorant. He hasn't played a ton. But yeah,
Won a
maybe.
trophy.
2 years.
But like in the history
he
of
win the
games,
trophy?
He's played in a tournament where his team.
He
won
qualled the team
trophy.
to the tournament where they won the trophy.
That's very true. That's a great point. And you can pick
There you
him.
go.
You can pick
Look,
him.
is Carpe going in my top 10? Fuck no. But should he at least be on the list for somebody to select if they really think that? Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move on then. So you can start doing that. Listen, throw it up on your second monitor. Keep us on the first. In the meantime, let's talk about members. If you become a member, you get exclusive early access to a bunch of content. You get forbidden podcast episodes, badges, emotes, and early access if we do any ticketing or merch in the future. But Members can also ask a question every week, and this one I think is really interesting. At least for myself and Achilles, probably for TMV and Mini as well as people who are doing more watching of Toronto. What new things that they added to the broadcast do you think worked or didn't? Bwen says, with Masters Toronto trying out some new ideas such as fans behind the players, casters viewers swapping halfway through the tournament, the Coinbase econ report, love that one, keeping the group death stage very consistent. Which of these do you think worked? All right, let's just kind of go through them one at a time. The fans behind the players when they're doing the interview towards the end. I love that, personally. I saw a lot of people being like, oh, it's sloppy. I thought it was sick.
I like it. I think it could be a little less chaotic, but I don't mind it being rough. I think it's... I like the idea of, like, pulling the player away, but when they're not really... The problem is, like, the player sometimes just can't hear what the hell is being asked of them, and they're just like, huh? And then, like, Yinsu or Jen has to repeat themselves, like, 3 times, and then they just literally go, like, all right, it's great. And then they just turn around and keep signing things. So I think that could be cleaner, but I think aside from that, I think it's awesome seeing, like, just the immediate fan interaction.
And not even that, like, having the fans behind the players whilst they're playing, I think was super cool.
Sure.
Right? Like, you saw moments of, like, you know, players turning around and you know,
Poster twerking at them.
Yeah, but like celebrating with the fans behind them, like I thought that was, and you know, I guess depending on the venue, you might not always be able to do that, but yeah, that's a win for me.
Yeah, I thought that was sick as well. All right, the next one was caster duos swapping halfway through the tournament. Seth, I barely saw you at this event. We were like
saw
ships
each other
in the
literally
night
for like about 4
One
hours,
night.
and then I left.
Yeah, I had a lovely night with you. One memorable night in Toronto.
I've still not fully recovered. I don't like this. I think that the nice thing is that I do get along with everybody on the talent teams at the various events. And then this means that I get to see everybody less. And it also means that I'm only there for half the event and therefore I make less money. So I'm very against this in the future, as long as I'm being invited to the event. If I'm not going to the event, then it's fine. But no, I mean, I think it's good to, it's awesome that Uber and Wyatt were able to get their first international. Obviously, there's always going to be people who are left out or people who are doing like shorter stints compared to others and that kind of thing. And it always sucks. There's not really a great way to do it because you either bring in a bunch of people, which costs a lot more money to run, and then also you get less time to cast and be on the broadcast. Or you do this and then, you just don't get to really interact with people. It's tough.
Yeah. I like it personally because it lets you bring more pairs to the event.
I wish there was a bit more overlap. I think the more pairs thing is overall good. I just wish that there was a bit more of an overlap where we got to kind of like interact and mix in a little bit more, but it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, next one was the Coinbase econ report.
Come on, Josh, you love this one. You love this one so much.
Okay. Now I love when they were showing the graph at the beginning of the tournament and it was just /_ the entire time. That's just what the graph looked like every time. Because if you did any damage in the pistol round, it inflated the y-axis, and then everything afterwards was just a puddle of nothing. We gave them a bunch of feedback about it, and they're already really receptive to it, and they're changing it up like for the future. So
they didn't get to implement the changes by the end of the event, right?
No, but I think they're looking to implement changes for the future.
Can someone explain to me what econ rating is? Because I don't even understand.
It's in the game, mate. It's on the scoreboard.
But I don't know what that is.
It's damage divided by your creds, basically. Money spent. Damage divided by money spent.
Does their solution involve keeping that as a stat? If I don't understand
No, it's the other way around, is it not? Creds spent divided by your damage dealt?
Don't ask me. I think it was the other way around. I think it's damage dealt divided by creds, because the more creds you spend, the worse it becomes, right?
I mean, my point proven. I don't think anyone understood what I meant.
Yeah, it is one, like when you check the scoreboard, I've been asking them for a while. I think one of the biggest stats things that they're missing is traded stats. It's super possible for them to be able to implement it into the game, like players traded or how many times you were traded or something. That's way better than an econ rating, but possibly less relevant for Coinbase. Then again, can you imagine like day traders or something, and you're like, oh, your trade percent or something? You could sell that. You could sell that to a crypto company, surely.
I mean, I did enjoy it, like having spoke to you watching these games and you being freaking out about the Coinbase econ report, and then you get on the cast and it's like, well, we can see here the textures doing it again in the Coinbase econ report.
Sometimes, listen, money makes a cruel master, doesn't it?
I don't
Let's
speak out about these things because then I don't have that tonal shift suddenly on broadcast.
yeah. And then the final one was keeping the group stage desk very consistent. So they used basically the same desk for both halves of the event. They use it rather than rotating people around all the time. So
That
I
part,
quite like the something in APAC that I noticed is they keep the desk the same, and the producer told me it's because like they're able to kind of keep narratives. Like I notice when I'm doing desk a little bit now, it's like I don't know what narratives have been set the previous week, and you have to kind of if you really do your homework, you can kind of do it. But I think from a talent POV, it'd be quite nice. I guess from a viewer point of view, it might get a bit stagnant potentially.
I enjoyed it in Overwatch League, but it was a hell of a job. Like we did every game like basically every day, and we had 4 days a week, like first in last out, because desk is like much more work than doing casting as well. So it was a bit brutal, but I enjoyed it because you get to like build a dynamic in a way that you don't really when things are rotating, but it's a lot of work. So
yeah,
I'm ambivalent on this.
Can I just add one more that is about, and I'm particularly interested in Minnie's perspective on this, because I weirdly enough, I asked Minnie about this before Toronto, about the teams that go, you know, obviously the second master still has this, you know, like the first seed go to the playoffs. And everyone was popping off about it at the time, right, when all the first seed teams lost. But now, like, I'm interested in what, like, both the community and people here think. Like, now that the full tournament is complete, you know, Fnatic ended up coming second, stuff like that. Like, do people care again? Like, do people still care about that? Is it still a bad idea? You know, Minnie, you've now been with like Paper Rex and gone through the, you know, the group stage side of it. You were with Fnatic and been through the.
I think it depends. I think if you genuinely ask people if you prefer to be first seed or not, they would probably still prefer to be first seed, whether or not like. The problem though is that like now everyone's made a big fuss about it. It would be nice if we could just reset it and just like be like, okay, well let's not have this debate and just reset it. I don't think that it will happen though because of the budget reasons. Like sending more teams into a big group stage probably costs money, so like it probably makes sense from Riot's point of view. I still think that from my style of coaching, it would make sense for me to go into the bracket because I don't want to show all the cool protocols we have. If your team's more momentum based and literally is a train, I think that being from the group stage is probably better to build that momentum up, you know?
Yeah, that was the argument, by the way, that Leo gave, was that like when you see the end result of the tournaments, the first seeds don't do worse. Like at the end, like you're saying, Fnatic made the finals, but in this event, like you had one of them made the finals, one of them made top 4, and the other 2 got eliminated immediately. So it does feel like there was like it did feel a bit difficult. I think more of that though was to do with the meta shifting so dramatically. Than
I mean, you also had XLG who were trying to work with a sub, which is obviously something that we're going to talk about later because he's not on the team anymore. But like they're trying to work with a sub who couldn't really communicate super well. It's RQ's first international, so there's going to be a ton of nerves and everything like that, as well as the meta shifts. So
yeah, okay.
I want to throw a dig quickly at G2 too, because I think that their opening game versus Paper X, they showed comps that I thought were like pretty meh. Like I thought they were going to do like I thought they were going to show everyone how to play the game in this meta, and they didn't in the opening game at all. Like Paper X just, they played against a breached Neon Sova Lotus, and it was just, I was like, oh, good, like that's gonna be fine. And then they played a breach Fade split, which is fine, but it's not, when you have someone like Anders in your team, I would expect a little bit more creativity than that, or good. Like, yes, it was creative or innovative. It was just not good in my opinion. And you saw later in the tournament that on the other maps they had like cooler stuff, and so almost like the narrative got kind of shoehorned into this first seed thing when it was like, in my opinion, a map choice and comp choice problem for them specifically.
Okay, I do want to dive into some roster stuff though, so let's get started with Pacific. We've got quite a lot of things to chug through. There might be some where we don't really have that many opinions because we're not like that up on the players, but we'll try to give you a pretty decent overview at least of what's been happening if you've been kind of head in the sand in Master Strano, same as probably plenty of us have been as well. Let's start with ZETA Division. Now, ZETA, Achilles, where do you feel with ZETA, man? Are you one of the Psy from TMV is really how most people view this team, I think. Just a bit of a disappointment, but give us a year in review so far, Seth.
You think I have memories of this? Like, I do.
So not particularly memorable.
A format clear. No, okay. So they certainly had their moments. They were looking like they were maybe going to be able to get the qualification into the playoffs during the stage. You know, I said that I was going to fly ZETA guy out to watch them here in Korea. The guy's always at their fan meets and stuff. Like they had a bit of momentum right ahead of the playoffs, and it looked like it was really starting to come together for the team. And it's like, okay, is this back? Are they going to be able to get into playoffs and then maybe, you know, pick up a couple wins there? They didn't in the end. They fell just kind of shy of the mark. At the ACL, they decided to bench Shota, who now just hit one of the craziest aces. It's on the subreddit over in tier 2 in Japan. They benched him and they put TenTen into the roster because previously TenTen was subbing in for Depp, who had a shoulder injury, and they've opted to just keep him. And TenTen looked really, really fucking good at the ACL. I think they lost their series versus Trace, and I forget how many kills he dropped. He dropped like 56 or something like that across the 3 maps. Yeah, like he was frying, and I was like, okay, if they take the time to get Depp a bit more settled playing the Sentinel role, playing the Viper, or just, you know, pivoting him back onto Initiator, like as he's played before, and having somebody else be able to take over Sentinel, I think that the team actually could have a decent amount of punching power, because Depp is still very fucking good. I think that the other players on the team overall have like looked improved going in towards the playoffs of stage 1, and TenTen is just kind of like this breath of fresh air that can frag out of control.
So does that mean that you actually have some faith in them heading forwards? Like what did they go like? 2
I
and
would
3 or
say
something?
like they should be a team that absolutely can make the playoffs. Like, you know, I think that they're improved compared to what we were seeing from stage 1. Because I mean, bless him, Shota. Like the man's great at playing Duelist, and he should be on Duelist. They didn't really have him playing Duelist. This is, this is his ace from earlier. Now he's playing. I mean, he's playing Astra here, but Duelist previously main role. This is just high sense, just constantly swinging back and forth.
Okay.
But he just, I don't know. Shota never really hit his stride in tier 1, and he's a player that I think still has a lot of potential, but really kind of just didn't really grasp the opportunity the way that he needed to. But I think that ZETA is going to be fine to make the playoffs.
What's the language barrier like? Like TenTen, I presume.
I thought you were gonna say. I thought you were asking me like, what's their language? Like, which one? What do they speak? I was like, Japanese.
I mean, I don't know what they speak.
Yeah, maybe.
I think TenTen's been in and around the Japanese scene for quite some time, I believe. Okay. And I mean, Meteor was there before on Northeption and whatnot. I mean, he like Jojo to be able to translate, but I'm pretty sure his Japanese is pretty good. Okay. So I think they're all calming in Japanese.
And you're saying that they've got a chance of being able to make it to playoffs as well. We do know that. I mean, now that we're starting to look towards stage 2, we should probably be taking a look at the groups that these teams are in as well.
Oh yeah, you're right. They're in. Oh fuck.
They're in a. It is possible. I'm not saying it's not possible.
It is a rough one though.
They're in the group with PaperX. They're in a group with T1 as well. Boom, who played really well in the first stage 2. Talon, who always punch, and then DFM. So, you know, you got both of the Japanese teams in the same group, and then they need a win somewhere else as well, I would say, in order to be able to make it. Now, it's been so long since stage 1. So some of these teams might be shy.
Yeah, this is the thing, though, about Pacific, is that you bring up that group, it's like, oh, that's a tough group. But then I look at the other group, and I'm like, that's a fucking tough group as well. Like, this is the thing with all the Pacific teams, I think, that we're going to talk about today, is like, Pacific is just a fucking stacked region where, like, especially if, you know, just any of these teams that are making changes, you know, improve to a decent level, like, you're just fucked. Like, you're just fucked. Like, because there are no free win. Maybe, like, what? Maybe DFM are a free win there for ZETA, or like a game that you would be like, okay, they're clear favorites, or like should be favorites. Yeah. But other than that, it's like What else? What else are you looking at there? That's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, I think that Group A Alpha is like a little like the tiniest bit more clear cut in my mind than
Okay,
Omega.
wait, why?
Why do you think?
Because you don't like Team Secret.
No, I just look. They're
You're a
making
Team
changes.
Secret
I don't-
hater.
I
Let's
don't
let's
know
go
if
to
it's
Team
enough.
Secret. Let's
don't know
jump
if it's
forwards a
enough,
little
but-
bit to Team Secret and get the biggest Team Secret haters' opinions of what's been going on. For a little bit of context, a lot of people have been ragging on Team Secret for a long time because they weren't happy with how the team was performing. They also perceived that there was some like nepotism, cronyism stuff going on as well. Jesse Vash, when he ended up stepping down, had a quote that was on VLR saying, "Right now, I'm feeling somewhat exhausted from the negative feedback from the community, particularly if it is not related to the game. I feel like I have to step out to not affect the team." I mean, that aligns with what I've been seeing around the place as well, because people were mad about the way that they were run as well as just the way that they were playing, which is a weird spot for a team to be in, actually.
It is, and my frustrations with the team is basically started and stopped with just the performances. Because, like I said, every time I ever thought, like, yes, Team Secret absolutely win this series. They're looking great. They're gonna pound, and they just choke, and then they would just lose it. That's where my frustrations start and stop. And I'm hoping that with the adjustments coming through, that it'll be a breath of fresh air. It'll be kind of this soft reset. For them, where they can start to try to, turn their fortunes around. I mean, I think that, like, overall, as far as their pickups are concerned, they've got some pretty decent ones here. You got Kelly S, who's going to be coming in. You've got Nizzy, who also gives us our second Vietnamese player for the region alongside Crazy Guy. So that's pretty sick to get a little bit more representation from that side of the world as well. And I think Wild Oreo, he's had some inconsistencies, but overall is like a very strong player. We've seen what he's capable of. Envy is just fucking goated somehow still. Like, this guy always looks good pretty much no matter what. And then you have ZesBeeW, who's got plenty of experience previously playing on Boom and, was a part of the roster that lost to Sin Prisa. I couldn't remember their original name. When they were over at Ascension. So, like, they have a very well-versed, well-experienced roster when it comes down to playing, at least internationally in Tier 2, that I think are going to be very hungry to really turn the org around and earn their spot in Tier 1. So, and
Presumably Kelly is now going to be IGLing for this team then?
That would be my assumption. So,
I mean, I don't know. The problem with when you have a rebuild this large, I have no concept of whether this is going to make the team a lot better, because I mean, first of all, I'm not particularly familiar with Nizzy. I don't think I'm not sure that I've ever watched a game of Nizzy, to be honest with you.
he was on Fancy United, I want to say.
You ever watched a game
Right.
of Fancy United?
Might have watched a game of Fancy United
They were
in Pacific
fucking,
Ascension,
I fucking
actually.
loved watching Fancy
Oh,
United.
it's
But not
also
for a
worth
while.
mentioning one of the other swaps that Secret made, I believe, was with the coach. So I think they have Meow.
But I think a full rebuild when you've been
Oh
having...
no, they've had Meow. Jesus, sorry, my bad.
Right. I think a
just
full
glanced at
rebuild,
it.
though, when you have performances this bad to begin the season, it seems justified.
The
So-
thing that gives you hope, though, if you are a Team Secret fan, the thing that gives you hope is you've got a fucking GOAT player on your team. You've got Envy.
Sure. Yeah.
So
still
if
have
you've got
Envy.
like a fucking insane player, like, that's a good start. Like, that, at least like, okay, we've got at least one, like, tick in the box. This is fucking good. So at least you have one. At least there's some fucking hope. But then even last time, he was like the highest rated player and they were shit, so maybe not.
Watch, they have Envy IGL, and it's just Scream
Yeah.
2.0.
Okay.
It's
I mean, that
just
would be
we are
terrible.
just full Carmine Core.
No.
Just-
Don't even say it. Don't even say it. You're the tier 1 hater. You are a D1 Team Secret hater. Don't even start with this shit. They're going to be better. They can't get much worse. They've only won one match this year or something, haven't they, in VCT? Yeah.
was against
they only
RRQ as
won
well.
against RRQ at the
Yes.
very end of the
They were
season,
the
which
one
was
seed.
so weird. That was
Yeah.
so weird, actually.
Are they going to be able to keep Envy, do you think? Like, long
Next
term?
year, you mean?
Yeah.
it's interesting, isn't it? Because the Filipino scene, there's actually quite a lot of teams that are interested in picking up good players from the Philippines. But there isn't like a huge amount of talent that's been really successful at the top level. So I would expect Envy to be a prospect that a lot of people wanted to get after.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's looked like the best one for the longest time, and then Patman just leapfrogged over the top. Like,
Sure.
So.
But I also think like you got to look at the teams that they're in as well, right? You can't
yeah.
just like poor Envy being like, yeah, well, you're second best now. You're sloppy performance from Envy.
Yeah, I love Pat, but if Envy was in Paper X, it would be phenomenal too. Like it's not, you know.
Let's
I mean,
Let's move on a little. Let's move on. I want to go back to Global because they're also in Group Alpha. So this will give us a chance to talk about Group Alpha as well. Because I suspect, Achilles, that when you said Group Alpha is a bit more clear cut, were you expecting Global to also be the team not making playoffs? Because they've got a hard route of it. Okay, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but I would say that they are the team that has the hardest route of it compared to RRQ, Gen G, DRX, even Nongshim, who've been a little underwhelming this year compared to our expectations. Those are the favorites, right? Global have got an uphill battle.
Yeah. I mean, I think overall I like the changes that they're making as far as just building up firepower. The players that they have at the moment, like they're giving Yoman kind of another opportunity. He's somebody who didn't have the greatest go on Gen G, certainly didn't really live up to the expectations that we were going to have for him. Like the conversation was, okay, is Yoman going to join in, kind of just become this protege of Munchkin and really learn like how to master IG? No, he just plays like Sova,
games or something.
and then he didn't have the greatest performances in the world. But I'm glad to see that he's kind of getting a second crack at this. But I think a lot of people were scratching their heads seeing Ban come in. But the reason why I like it is because this just opens up Yudutan to just play nothing but Duelist. If I swear to God, if Ban is playing Duelist when we go live for stage 2 and Yudutan is playing Sentinel, I'm going to have a fucking conniption.
That better not be happening.
On Duelist.
Look, I spoke to Elevated before the season. Elevated was fucking popping off about how good Udatan was on Duelist. Like he was talking about like this guy's fucking insane. And so yeah, if he then goes and turns around and says no, you're gonna play Sentinel, then yeah, I'm gonna just fucking slap him.
But Ban does have a lot of experience playing Sentinel as well, so it's not like you have to do this in order to make it fit. I think look, and again, I spoke to Elevate quite a few times, and so I know like. You know, like they just had a fucking rough go of things global, right? It started with Patrick Hu not getting a visa, so they couldn't practice with who they thought they were going to play with. So that was the start of the season. You know, they were having to figure things out in short time. By the way, sorry to interrupt you. Patrick Hu's gone into witness protection. By the way, I don't know whether you saw this, but he had one of the worst. He had all those visa issues. He had one of the worst performances out of any of the players, right? But he was also in a really difficult spot too. And now he's changed his name entirely, which I think is a great decision. Honestly, I'm not even like mad respect. Just go and change your name and just try to reboot because he's clearly like good enough to get on people's radar, but that's like it's a bad record at tier 1 that will
I remember
haunt
a
you
bunch
if you
of
don't
Team
change your
Secret
name.
fans being like, why the fuck has Global got Patrick Hu? Why the fuck aren't we picking up Patrick Hu? Like the start of the season there was a lot of that.
And now it's actually Patrick Hu? It's Yo Cam now, bitch. But yeah, sorry, continue.
But yeah, then they had the whole like juvenile thing, and you know, obviously like your head coach now is just gone, right? So they had just like a fucking roller coaster throughout this year so far. So my hope, as someone who's a friend of Elevate, is that you bring in MCE. You know who else brought in like an experienced coach from Pacific, bringing in an experienced assistant to help out? You know who did that? Paper Rex. The guy's fucking right here on the podcast. He knows what an advantage that can be to bring in an experienced assistant. And so I'm hoping that, you know, between Elevated and MCE, they can, you know, figure it out, have some stability. I think the roster as a whole, people like Ban, right? You think of Ban as like, you know, like a solid player, but I know that
he's very steady.
Like, oh, yeah, like a steady, solid player. But that's actually, I think, what this team needs. They need just like some stability to like be able to just have like a fucking normal process of preparing for weeks and then hoping that, you know, that can actually lead them to being pretty good. But again, Pacific is fucking hard because all the teams are pretty good.
I'll be curious to see how they end up looking with some more practice, because I think the only did they have this full roster, or were they missing somebody? I can't remember if they had him for the EWC quals, but they played a show match versus Team Secret with the new map Corrode, and then we didn't even get to see the full duration of it because it just went into sudden death when it hit 12-12. So they didn't play in overtime, and Secret just won the opening round.
Didn't enable tournament mode.
So
Wow.
it's hard to glean anything from this. I mean, obviously the point of it was just to kind of show off the map a little bit, but it's hard to glean much.
For anyone at home, Mini was asking, is Darion not on the team anymore? And Darion subbed in for Patrick Hu, and then has not been with the team. Like, it's not part of the team now. It's the roster that you're seeing on this page, which is, I think, a skilled roster. Like, it's a good roster.
It is.
But man, look at the schedule, bro. This is my problem. Is like,
if they had this roster in
who are
stage
they
one,
winning against apart from Secret? Nongshim maybe, and then that could get you into playoffs.
You get playoffs,
yeah. I think playoffs is possible, but it's every time Global make a move, I'm like, and this goes back to the beginning of Global. I'm like, I like the ideas that you're working with here. I can see where you're going. I know you don't have like the most enormous resources in the world, and they're like chipping away, getting better and better rosters. The scouting's improving. They're bringing in more experience, but they are just. Every time you look at the teams they're playing against, and you're like, good luck, man. Good luck.
It's a little bit cursed.
It's not that they're bad, but
yeah. Oh, I mean, I was having pretty high expectations of them actually coming into the year, because I really liked the direction they were moving in. But like you said, then they got bogged by visa issues, etc. And it just has kind of like been a little bit of a spiral. So I'm hoping that the changes made, bringing MCE in, I hope that this brings a lot of stability, because even like the players that you can expect consistent performances from, it just felt like after the whole juvenile thing, like everybody just it just felt like everybody was shaking up. So I'm hoping that now they've had some more time to just settle in, focus with the new core 5, they're going to be in a much better start to jump off, because like we weren't seeing that great of performances from Poppy Chulo, but just Poppy, I suppose now, in stage 1, and he is such a steady player. He is so goddamn good.
Yeah, he had some great clutches.
Like what he was doing in kickoff, what he was doing his whole career in tier 2 was astounding. Crystal is a fucking god. Like, and we weren't seeing that in stage 1. I'm hoping that this is enough time to just really get that mental reset, get everybody back into form and on the right page.
They also brought in Platoon as an assistant coach too, which I'm sure one of those YouTube content creators that you've probably watched one of their videos and you're probably not subscribed. So they got like huge amounts of viewership for some like analytical content, but one of those where everybody's watched a video of theirs, I think, and yeah, it deserve more love, in my opinion. But probably won't be making as many videos, to be honest with you, because now working with with Global.
Breaking down global esports as best strats and stuff
Yeah,
like that. Probably not so much anymore.
Dude,
I've
that'd be
heard
so
good things
funny.
about his data side. Like, I presume MCE is going to take a lot of the bulk of the elevated for the strategic side, and then I've heard this guy is quite good on the data side, can do some programming, coding, kind of be more of an analyst, I guess, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, that makes sense for someone like that, I think.
It's like if TMV knew how to use maths.
My maths is my numeracy is good.
I see him. He did that. He did that video where he was working out how many like rounds you would win if you bought the sheriff on the pistol round, and he had a bloody abacus. Like, bro's never
a fucking abacus.
had
It wasn't
an
even my
actual
stats.
abacus
That
out.
wasn't even me. I was just taking someone else's shit and just
because you
ripping it
can't
off and saying, "Look at
you
this."
can't count. You had to use somebody else's, didn't you? You had a personal accountant adding up all of the pistol rounds that they
Kurt,
had.
bring back up the clip of rematch. Bring it up. Make him go red again.
Let's move on to
what an
another team.
abacus was.
You don't know an
You know
abacus?
what an abacus is?
Now I do.
I mean, to be honest though, why would you need to know what an abacus
This is an abacus.
Yeah, they're for
Well, I just
counting.
feel like, I mean, maybe we're of a certain vintage at this point that we're just
I
that
know an
one.
abacus.
step.
Sorry, you are not old enough that you used an abacus as a child to count.
I literally did have an abacus in my
Well,
house.
there was an abacus in my primary school.
Yes, to play with, not to count with. You are not old enough that people were using abacuses.
To play with?
What
Kind of shitty little... Look at you! Look at you! Just fucking sitting there.
Abacus.
Oh, everyone else is playing football. Josh, do you want to go outside? No, I'm counting. Don't worry about me.
He was using it in his math class. What are you talking about? There's no shot you were using an abacus.
I had, not in school, but I had an antique abacus that my mother had, and it was widely on display at the front of the house.
what we had at
and
my
it had
primary school.
There's an abacus, and at the top it had a mini chalkboard that you could kind of like do like quick notes on, and
Right.
it was from like the 30s or something. And I would play with it when I was a kid, and my mom would just say, like, okay, well, he's playing with it. I might as well teach him how to fucking count. So she would ask me questions, and then that taught me how to use an abacus.
How old were you at the time?
I don't know, 5?
23.
23. This is right before his esports career. Okay, let's move on to talking about T1. Okay, T1 is such an interesting team, man.
Kind of like that.
Yeah, good. T1, after having won in Bangkok with Sylvan, after they benched him in order to make him perform better or something, and then he came back in, they won Bangkok with Sylvan, then they didn't qualify to Toronto, now they've benched Sylvan, they asked him if he wanted to be released, and he was like, nah, I'd rather sit on the bench.
I know I'm coming back. We're winning champs.
And then now they've promoted one of their academy players to the starting roster. Seth, what the fuck is going on with this team?
I don't have a fucking answer for this. I I really don't know. I mean, Dage was somebody that I had no real knowledge about because I don't really have that much time nor incentive to watch the Challengers games in Korea.
Sure.
So like I haven't really paid any attention to that, but like he's played on 2 different Japanese teams before getting signed to their academy team, comes in, plays for them for not very long. He joined in September of last year, and in May of 2025 now he's on the main roster. I don't really know what is happening.
He's a flex player. Like, I know that he's been playing a lot of different roles in his tier 2 games. I was looking at that. And
I think he's only played Omen for them so far, but that was for
right.
Saudi quals.
Yeah. So he is going to be filling the role that, like, I mean, why do they want more of a fill player when Isu's already incredibly good at doing this kind of stuff? Like, what kind of weird whack-ass comps are they playing where everybody has to be a flex on this team? I don't understand.
Honestly, I don't think he'll end up flexing. I think he's just going to end up playing Omen, and they will not use his flexibility at all.
Yeah, maybe. But then, I don't know.
Well, Josh, I'm interested
Gigabrain?
in I'm interested in your opinion because you, like when people were saying Carpe versus Sylvan and T1 were doing all that, you were very much on the like, look at Sylvan's utility here. It's so good. All of this. So I'm.
Well, no. Hold on.
Go on.
That was not arguing that Sylvan is one of the greatest players. That's coming from a point of he put up one of the greatest stats, like assist performances, and working backwards from that to justify how did that happen. I didn't start from a concept of like, I noticed how amazing his util was and wanted to put the case forward for him. It is kind of like apple before the cart kind of thing. Apple before the cart, horse before the apple cart.
But either way, like it is strange, don't you think, that like there's someone that you know fits your team. I think, and we're gonna talk about EDG later. Like I think it is somewhat similar to EDG, where if you've got enough just like super fraggers already, like you can have a Simon or a Sylvan who maybe isn't putting up the the greatest like fragging numbers, but if their utility is like really well timed and it's always in the right place. Like if you've got fucking Meteor Buzz, Itsu also on your team, like you can get away with that because they're gonna do enough shooting on their own.
I suspect it's not even to do really with performance. I suspect it's much more to do with the interpersonal dynamics on the team, based on just what T1 spoke about after they won in Bangkok. And they were saying that like there was conflicts between them, and Sylvan felt like he was being like attacked kind of with the critical feedback that they were giving him, and Carpe had to come into the team and be like, guys, we have to have a positive atmosphere if we want to be able to win, and was trying to help people like navigate the process of giving feedback to each other. And this is all
like
just
Simon.
I mean, dude, Simon's situation is bonkers, isn't it? But I think that they have a reading between the lines. It feels like they have a bit of a dysfunctional internal environment, and this is more to do with the players having to chop and change things in order to get like to what they feel is a better spot. This is why, by the way, a lot of people were critical of Autumn, and then they won in Bangkok, and then the narrative is kind of all over the place because now you're like, well, is Autumn a fucking genius, or was he a bit lucky in kind of tripping into a Masters win despite
Carpe got them to
mismanaging?
that point, and therefore should be in the top 10.
Well, they did give Carpe a
it's a
huge amount of
fantastic
credit for like actually managing their internal atmosphere during the Bangkok run, or like during the period right before the Bangkok run. So maybe
Dysfunctional teams have won trophies, but they never do anything afterwards, is my read.
Mm.
And I don't want to give away who those teams might be, but
So you think that T1's a little bit of an
I think
ascend?
Paper Rex are about to collapse.
Luckily, Paper Rex is never gonna do that. Like I've been around them. That is like the opposite vibe of what I'm talking about. But yeah, like I can't speak for T1 specifically, but I know there's been plenty of teams that have done very well with a player or two that just didn't vibe well into the team, and then it's just like you can't regain the kind of like whimsy or just irrational things that happen to like win that trophy, you know. So yeah, I think it's probably an internal conflict or something. And this DH guy looks pretty good from the, you know what I mean? The Korean approach is a bit like my old approach in the early days, were just ruthless, to be honest with you. And it's scary that in 2025 they're still this ruthless, but we'll have to see if it keeps working, I guess.
You've softened in your old age?
When you get Leo and Chronicle in your team, it's a bit easier to soften up, you know? So I wasn't thinking every 2 weeks, like, is there this superstar tier 2 players? It's Leo, Chronicle, it'll be fine, you know?
Yeah. If you're not top 3 in the world, I'm going to cut you. Oh, shit, you are.
Pretty much.
All right, let's move on from T1 then. Definitely a team to be keeping an eye on, though, because if they underperform in Stage 2, that could blow open the beta group pretty dramatically.
Could blow open pretty much everything, because right now they're, second points for champs?
Right.
So if they
Ooh,
just
that could get
completely
spicy.
flop, then that opens up a potential qualification through that.
Yeah, and then if they rebound as well, people will be extremely excited about it too, because we've definitely seen teams peak early in the season, have a lot of struggles in the middle, and then still peak for champs. It's a narrative that we've seen over and
Close as
again.
well.
I'll give them I want to shout out something as well for T1 that is super awesome. And I mean, they did this last year. It was the first time that they did it, but basically their home ground event, you know, for any Overwatch heads, same thing as a homestand. They're running that, and you know, they're working with both the League of Legends as well as the Valorant side of Riot to basically run a side event and have, you know, the teams on site and perform and play. And it's going to be over at the Inspire Arena where we did champs last year. And I think it's just super cool to kind of see this, you know, independently team run thing where the fans can kind of go and get a completely different experience. So
yeah,
cool on them to keep doing that.
Nice. In the meantime, over in the Chobra land of sponsored noodle teams, RB back in the big leagues, baby. I mean, maybe I shouldn't say big leagues because he was playing in China as well. But at the same time, it does feel like he's been. I feel like he's been out on an island for a while. He's been like. It's been a while since we've seen him in a team where I don't know. It feels like it's a return to home, coming back to play in Pacific rather than in China. And he's back for Nongshim RedForce. I don't know what he's doing. For some reason, Liquipedia is listing him as the IGL, but they also list Francis also as the IGL. So I don't know anything about that and who's going to be calling.
I'm not sure if that is because he was I thought you were saying they listed Art B as the IGL?
Yeah, they on Liquipedia. They might have just copy
Wikipedia.
pasted it from his previous
I just
roster or
glanced
something.
at the VLR page there, and it threw me off. Maybe it's because he was set to IGL on Tech, and
So
had
they might
been
have
doing
just
that for a little
assumed.
bit. So it might just be like a non-updated overlap type thing.
Did they announce actually though who is like stepping out? Because in the announcement in the tweet they said, "Please look forward to how RB will become the center of the team with his great fundamentals and abundant experience." So that implies he's not just like a bench player or something. He's going to be in.
No, he's not playing. He's replacing Chobra because they know that if they have Chobra, they're gonna keep losing. He's actually a new co-streamer for them, and Chobra has been cut.
Right. Do you actually know who's been cut though?
Nope.
Right.
6-man roster?
Do you think
Sure,
Korea
fucking
knows?
clue.
Do you think they know who's been cut? Like Korea has this like interesting way of doing things still, right?
What, where the players might
on
not
the day
know?
Like
On the day
Yeah.
that names get picked out of a hat.
Yeah,
It's like, oh,
probably.
you're not playing today,
6-man
Margaret.
roster vibe, you know.
I mean, if you didn't know and you see that they've tweeted he's going to become the centerpiece of the roster, you'd be like, shit. It's a weird one. I don't know who he would be even best placed to replace.
Well, that's the thing about RB. It could be any role.
It could be anyone.
It could be any role. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's not. Maybe he is going to be a sub, and they're just tweeting that out. And it's like he could take any of your places, and it's just like they have to constantly be looking over their shoulder. It's a motivation technique.
Is it better for him to be replacing Dumby if they want to play more stuff that's non-neon based? But then RB's best duelist was always neon, so that doesn't really make sense anyway.
I mean, he was always like.
It was very good back in the day. Yeah,
It's
like ancient days.
Yeah, I mean, he was playing Duelist once they had picked up Buzz for the most part, unless they were running any kind of like rare double Duelist, or rather, Buzz was playing Duelist, I should say. And then he would just swap to the Neon. I really don't know where they opt to go with this. I mean, RB, he's played pretty much everything in his career at this point, so they could have him flex over to playing Sentinel like he had before. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, he had that crazy clip versus Optic all those years ago back at Istanbul. The one that left you and Bren just dumbstruck when he
Gasping for air.
got the fadeaway
VK
shot
in
or that
Haven,
final
yeah.
bullet in window on a Haven.
Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I was literally playing Valorant with Jober earlier. Could have asked. Completely forgot to ask. But I don't think you would have told me anyway.
They're another one of those teams though that if they don't pick it up, they're one of the teams that are on like the boundary. I would say like them and Global when we were looking at Group Alpha.
Oh, but
right?
it matters more for them.
Yeah.
Their
Right, because they're an
survival's on the
Ascension
line.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, explain to the people again, TMV.
So if you don't make playoffs in stage 2, you're just gone. See you later. Unlucky. Have fun in
Gone
Tier 2.
Riot executes you.
If you make playoffs, you get to play in Ascension. If you make champs, you're just guaranteed, unless both of you make champs, and then it's whoever finishes better in champs.
TMV, what would you do if they got rid of Margaret? Be a sad
that
day.
I couldn't make. Well, I mean, I'd be sad that I couldn't make more jokes because I think it's one of the best names. I mean, as like a Western speaker, it's just like, why the fuck is this guy named Margaret? I mean, what a name! Like, why?
It's a
You know,
wonderful
Seth,
name.
why the fuck is this guy called Margaret?
Why the fuck not? It's so good. I mean, I love when people just like, my ID is going to be an English name, and preferably one that's
why
out
like
of.
the China names are always good because they just pick a fucking random word. It's like they go through an English dictionary and just go, "Fuck it, I'm slowly."
A lot of them do it.
Slowly's a great one. Slowly's fantastic. I love Margaret though, because the only Margaret anyone ever thinks of is Thatcher. That's the. I mean, here we go. It means pearl. There you go. So maybe it's because their favorite map is pearl.
That's out of the map pool, so they're gonna struggle.
Possibly.
I just want to get
okay.
all of the plain name players on one team. So it's like Margaret, Jerry, you know, and just go down the list and just everybody who just has a basic ass name.
There were a lot in Overwatch as well. A lot
There
of
was
the
a
Chinese
ton in
players.
Overwatch.
Yeah, like Elsa and stuff as well.
Well, Elsa's not really a plain English name, I would say.
Well, no, maybe not plain. I don't know, but also a lot of names that people think of it as English are not English either. Like, dude, anyway, I don't want to get down this route. I don't want to get down this route. Let's.
You don't want to talk about 5 centimeter?
That's an English name. If ever you've seen an English man, 5 centimeter works perfectly for that. I'd like to skip ahead to talking about China here, Kurt, if you don't mind, and then we'll go back to EMEA. I don't know if that messes with your.
I'm
game plan,
chilling.
but
Let's do it.
Okay, because we were talking about silly names, and there is no name sillier than the GOAT of silly names. Edward Gaming have added ZJC. He's changed his name, the little bastard. So now he's not HFMI to diddly anymore. He's just ZJC.
Which is still 3 syllables. Which is still they're pain in the ass, but
Yeah, and it's awkward to say as well, but it's insane aura loss.
Well, these are his initials, I believe. It was the one part of his original name that actually had it had anything to do with him as a person.
Is that true though? Because Seth, he said that this name was the culmination of his entire career in one name. There might be
made up the name because he wanted to fuck with casters. If he ever
well,
made
yeah,
it
he did
proud.
say that as well. He definitely did say that too. But he's changed his story multiple times, and I love this one as a conspiracy theory.
This is a serial liar.
That actually the HFMI 0D means something. And it's like this was the before
It's
times.
the culmination of his life. So his name, which you would think is like the first
It means
thing
0
you get
deaths
given.
because he hasn't died yet. He's still alive. I don't know.
Right.
Like, fuck it. There's no sense to be had here.
And then what's the 9Z7 for it?
I mean, 9Z is a team.
Okay. Okay, so maybe he's a big aren't they like a LATAM team?
Yep.
That's his dream. That's where he wants to land one day.
He wants to be the 7th player for 9Z. Well, one day I hope you can be there with Delzik and play. What do you think about this then? So they've originally, to tell you the story of EDG, Simon flames out in dramatic fashion, but also it sounds like EDG kind of mismanaged the situation a little bit. Simon took it extremely poorly, acted really unprofessionally and just basically torched his career, went down like a spiraling plane. And then they added in Jenny, who was the replacement that was supposed to be playing some Breach, some Yoru, which was supposed to allow KovaQ to not have to play the Yoru as much. But then he did play the Yoru anyway, and Jenny kind of shit the bed horrendously in their qualification game. I think he got the Pi and the 420 in that game, which is legendary stuff.
Sliggy-esque.
It's very Sliggy-esque. And now they've brought in HFMI as presumably just a somewhat straight-up replacement for Simon's original role, which is the very supportive initiator kind of player.
But you say that, if you look at his all-time played, I mean, it's so funny. It's
Sova,
a
Raze.
fuck ton of Sova and a fuck ton of Raze. How many fucking Sova Raze players do you know?
BNJ.
Look at the difference. Look at the round difference between Raze and then the third. It's insane.
I mean, this doesn't really give Simon replacement, does it?
Nope.
No.
It's going to be a very, very different feel to the team.
But it is a bit more similar to Jenny 7, where, he was playing some duelist, maybe. Maybe they will play,
No Yoru, though.
no Yoru, but maybe
If he plays
Paper
Raze
Rex comp.
instead of KovaQ, I mean, unless they're playing the double duelist comp, obviously, but, that would be diabolical.
Oh,
I think
He should basically never be playing duelist over KovaQ.
I think they might have really underrated how important Simon was to their victory at Champs. It's the only tournament where they've made higher than top 5 at a global event. And I don't think it was a coincidence that they had an extraordinarily supportive to just go bonkers crazy.
I don't know if they're underrating that. They might be overrating the crash out. But I think they knew what they had. And I don't think it was an easy pill to swallow to have to, cut that off.
Well, no, but they already benched him. The crash out was because they benched him. So they'd already been trying to get rid of him. So, he went on the bench, and then he crashed out because he was like, dude, I don't want to be on the bench the entire... Oh, well, he apparently was, sat there during scrims, not participating, and then the team was all, you need to be kicked because it's unacceptable that you're not participating during scrims. Yeah, it was like...
What was the original
Big
reason
drama.
for the bench, do we know? Was it performance related?
Performance related, and also that I think they were looking for somebody to come in and try to... They tried playing Simon on Yoru for a while, apparently, because they were just desperately trying to figure out solutions to this Yoru-based meta, and KovaQ wasn't particularly comfortable with it, and so they wanted Simon to be doing more in the team, basically. and he is quite new, quite inexperienced, and I don't think probably had a very good attitude as well, judging by how he crashed out and tried to activate his stream to like attack the EDG guys afterwards. So, yeah, unsure entirely, but something performance related.
I'm gonna reconnect real quick, but I'll be right back.
Okay.
I do wonder about, you said about double duelist. Like, there's been a bunch of teams we've remarked about today, and there could be a double duelist angle for a lot of them. Like, you kind of disregarded that, Josh, but like we've seen 2 tournaments in a row where double duelist has won. Like, do you not think that some of these teams might be considering it?
Yeah, I mean, what are the kind of double duelist comps, though? We've seen a lot of Yoru in the double duelist because it gives you that ability to, like, be the flash initiator for the team instead of running something like that. And this is a team where they don't like doing that at all, and neither of their duelists, if it was, well, no matter who it is, actually, if it was Smoggy or HFMI or ZJC, sorry, or Kang, they don't really enjoy doing that. So what would they be playing? Maybe more like Raise ISO or something like that? It would be a bit weird.
True. Yeah, I think it applies less here for sure. Like, I think Yoru makes that double duelist like exciting and work, because Yoru, I think, is just the best agent in the game probably right now. Like, it's that strong. So yeah, I don't think maybe it applies here.
Anyway, let's move on a little bit to a team that we recently saw at Masters Toronto, but who bombed out in unfortunate fashion. Lai Gaming, XLG. They had Midi as a last-minute replacement for Toronto. Why only Midi could acquire a visa, I don't know. Maybe it's because he already had applied for one with Trace and had been successful with it or something like that. But Midi couldn't come in English, which is pretty important when you have a mixed English and Chinese-speaking team. So now they've put Midi back onto Trace, and they've signed a guy called NoMan.
Great name again. We've got no body and no man.
That's great, actually. Didn't think about that one. Wait, we've got nobody 9 body and no man. So many different amounts of bodies. I don't know anything about this guy. The thing is, though, he previously played for Rare Atom and he played in Europe, and both.
Well, he was like barely on Rare Atom, wasn't he?
Wait,
yeah, I watched a lot of Rare Atom, but I did not remember this guy.
Yeah, he played 4 matches.
Yeah.
Beat Gilai twice.
Wait, his name is James Mann. Wow. What a name.
So
this is a plant from the CIA.
He's a guy from Hong Kong who previously played in EMEA Tier 2, and then he played in Rare Atom, and now he's come back to play for a Tier 1 team. Or I suppose, is this his first time actually playing for a Tier 1 Chinese team? I think it is.
Yeah, we'll
I believe so, because, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that's interesting. Now, what I find interesting as well, though, is I believe the rules say that if you declare yourself as a player for VCT CN, even if you're from like Hong Kong, which would also be able to play in Pacific, or if you have dual citizenship that would let you play in EMEA or something as well, if you declare yourself a VCT CN, you are just a VCT CN player. Like so
pick one, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to straight up pick one. You can't flip flop between CN and Pacific. So presumably he's just locked now into VCT CN, but that seems like it would be the right decision for the guy if he's got a Tier 1 offer here versus Tier 2 in EMEA or elsewhere.
Now,
Wait, sorry, what's the implications of that, sir? What does that mean? He's locked into China.
So
like
there's
he would
a
be an
few
import in other regions, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there are a few places like Hong Kong where you can choose if you want to be counted as a Pacific player or counted as a China player.
I see.
And once you declare for one of them, you can't declare back for the other in the next year.
Yeah. I think he's from Wales and he's got Hong Kong background, I think. Like, just judging from where he's played in Europe, and then he's got a Welsh flag on his Twitter. I don't know if that means anything. It's just that, like, I think he's European, like, if that makes sense. And
yeah, but again, it just depends on where you, like, declare. In terms of Valorant, right? Like, I'm not talking about wider geopolitics or whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, your Valorant career, if you have dual residence in Hong Kong or Wales, and you're like legally allowed to be a permanent resident, you can say like, I am now a Chinese player, and as long as that's your first thing that you ever say when you start playing in Tier 1, you'll just like permanently be an import if you play elsewhere.
It's like declarations that we've had for like Rossi when he was on Global, Hyunmin, who like, you know, lived in Hawaii, declares that, you know, he's in Pacific, you know, that's similar kind of vibe. So
that's cool though, man. I mean, this team was in a really difficult spot for Toronto. I felt for them because they like, how do you call for initiator utility as a duelist if it all like Raga is somewhat familiar with speaking in Chinese, but the majority of what they communicate in is English while Raga's alive. And then they only go, from what I've seen anyway in their comms stuff, they only go to speaking Mandarin when
he's dead.
When he's dead, and also, like sometimes when multiple people are dead, not just Raga. They'll often keep up the English comms when like 4 or 3 people are still.
Well, they'll have a tough time understanding him if he's Welsh.
Well, they all speak really good English, though. I think it was maybe only Viva who like had a bit of a wobble with it, but even his English was really, really good. So,
but he also plays a ton of duelists. So, I mean, if you go on his all-time played, quite strange because it's a lot of Jet, and then some Raze and Neon, and you know, dabbling in other things. But
this is just the meta, though. It's just pick up duelist player and put them on other agent.
Anything. The classic. We're going back.
I mean, that's the DRX classic for years.
2022. We're all over again.
Yeah. Let's move on to another team though. Let's go to Titan Esports. So they lost RB, as we've already talked about. RB has moved over to playing for Nongshim, and they've promoted a player called Lucas, who, interestingly enough, after
he can join the team
about NoMan, he's just turned 18,
right there with Margaret and Jerry.
Yeah, okay, but he also played 3.5 years of Tier 2 NA, so that maybe might be you know, a bit more where the name is coming from. I don't know. But yeah, this is another player that's been kind of bouncing around regions. 3.5 years in Tier 2 of NA, and then goes and plays
called
for Tech.
Sad Purple when he played on.
I think Crime City is a better name.
They're kind of those Sad Purple guys. They're pretty good.
Mochi Fan Club.
Yeah.
Hey, beat
the
Maryville.
Tournament champions.
Shout out to MC.
Yeah. I mean, beating Fun Havers as well.
I mean, China's digging deep for these players, like Tier 2 EMEA, Tier 2 NA. Like, they're having to dig deep here, which is surprising in a little way, because I thought that like by now the scene in China would have more of an established Tier 2. But I'm no expert on the subject.
I mean, a lot of the players that you'll see being like brought into teams as well are rookies. So yeah, I don't know.
You mean like literally not even from Tier 2? It's just like pulled out of rank.
No, sorry. I mean rookies in the sense that they haven't played Tier 1 before. I mean, there isn't very much. There's not a ton at the moment of like recycling of Tier 1 players. I guess there is to some degree actually, but they're just a year behind maybe, so it's not as built up. I don't really know. If
you go to the next player, I don't know if you've seen let's have the next topic, like
Dragon Ranger Gaming, DRG.
You talk about a player that has no experience. Just show the VR. He's played 4 games. He's played 4 games on his VLR profile. 4.
Yeah, this one's kind of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
How are we supposed to have an interesting topic discussion about this when a guy's played 4 games?
Crazy, isn't it?
But then
crazy.
All tail. I'm a tail
from
player.
your perspective, like how does this even happen?
I am here.
I don't know. Like, he must have the most ludicrous rank stats we've ever seen or something, and they've just gone, fuck it.
Happened for Karen.
Karen was a prospect out of solo queue. HSK just ran into him, so... What a banger series that is. I Am Here versus Good Boy. The Valorant in-house content team that makes all of the features Good Boy.
Yeah. I mean, it is...
And that's what context we're missing. Like, maybe we're missing something. Maybe this is some...
I looked at the announcement articles, and like VLR and Sheep were both saying that he was just a rookie player as well. So it's not like they had more information about him that we were missing. I don't know. I mean, the player base is enormous, but maybe there isn't the same kind of like feeding structures available to all of these teams. I don't know, because some of the teams have, you know, like sister teams that they work with and are promoting people, but I don't know.
Again,
There's also a shit ton of matches, man. There's like a lot of matches. They're playing extra tournaments compared to the other regions too, so you'd think there'd be even more opportunities for scouting.
And for this again is a Ascension team. Like this is quite a risk for a team that, you know, like has to at least make playoffs. Like you have to make playoffs.
Yeah.
Kurt just highlighted a paragraph there that said it was DRG youth training. So maybe we are missing some context in the sense that like they have a youth.
Them,
maybe they have some kind of training program that we're just unaware of.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if China, because as far as I'm aware of the league, like the east, both China and Korea, it's like very academy team focused, right? And there's like a feeding kind of thing. So I'd be very as soon as if China gets that, and as soon as there's a few more years, like we're kind of the West isn't going to win anymore. I don't think when that happens.
Yeah, Mini jump shipped early.
Yeah, I'll go consult for a Chinese team and just pretend that I did loads of good work there, and then you know.
Yeah. Let's. I think that's it in terms of China. I think let's move on to EMEA.
Not much else to say on the topic.
No, we don't have anything to say about this one. I mean, just tune in and watch DRG if you want. But yes, let's move on to EMEA, because EMEA is back to Juice Central. And I kind of ordered the EMEA segment in terms of most juicy to least juicy. You got to sink your teeth into Vitality early on, because this team is
fucked.
We finish each other's sandwiches. Have they lost Sayf? Has Sayf benched himself? Has Sayf been benched? I don't know, but they've also decided to put CyvOph in the inactive roster as well, who was the player that originally came in as like a bit of a replacement anyway. And now they've added 2 brand new talents to the team. Let me just start here. This started as a super team, right? Or at least what people were claiming was a super team, borderline super team, however you want to frame that. But it was supposed to be a star-studded roster. Yep. Mini, how the hell do you make a star-studded roster actually work? Because I feel like Fnatic's the only version that's had success.
Yeah, I think I think Vitality is a case study of like how to not do it. Basically, it's like there was no progression from their org's history to get them to the point to where they made that super team. Like they kept only Sayf and Trex, right? Like if they kept like their coaching staff like Gorilla and Comet, and then maybe like they had something else going on, like it would feel like they were going into the next year off of a champions, like an okay run at champions, going into a super team that had like a structure. Whereas like they just basically felt like they just kicked their entire roster pretty much, and just like Sayf built us a team, and then Sayf built a team, and of course it's got a load of good players on it, but there's no history or working methods or structure that they can build off of. So you've got like
let me throw this one at you as well, though, right? Because I think a lot of people might look at that as like Sayf built this team, he has ultimate responsibility for.
Oh no, Vitality have
right.
Vitality fucked up. They have an approach that like for their teams that's a bit different than mine. Like I'm much more Moneyball in terms of like thinking about like how much value can we get out of this player and like how does it make sense for the org, whereas they just basically just drop money on like the biggest names possible. I feel like they have the talent there, I guess, but did they have the correct kind of personalities to kind of go with each other? Did they have the structure? Like no, they dropped money at a time, I think, because Champs is around the corner for Paris, and so they wanted to up their kind of spending maybe here, but they kind of didn't build it, they just kind of bought it, so it didn't work.
Okay, so with that context, they're now put in a really difficult situation where, like you said, they want to make it to champs. They do actually have quite a lot of champs points, but they need success in order to make it still, and they weren't having very much success in stage 1. Kickoff was really good. Like they looked like a rough team that might continue to improve. But was still good enough to be able to like skill their way through a lot of stuff. And then Go on, Mini. Would you
So
disagree with that?
I think the way no, I agree absolutely. Sorry, I was just jumping in. Like, it's glass cannon is the word I'd use for them. Like, as soon they would win, and then as soon as they lose, it's glass cannon. And I think the big I brought this in broadcast. I thought it was quite a nice point. Like, when they started losing in EMEA against Fnatic and Heretics, they lost to like Fnatic and Heretics on their best maps. Like Fnatic's like Lotus was like their best map. Heretics had like Haven, and you saw that like Vitality immediately switched their comps after losing to these teams on these maps. You're like, okay, well, something's wrong in the team. Like, you don't switch your comp when you lost to one of the best teams in the world on a map, right? Like, you accept that, like, okay, they're just better than us. Whereas to me, like, that kind of signaled that there's like still inner turmoil there, and the team was just a bit maybe dysfunctional.
They swapped comps at Bangkok as well. They rotated off the ISO Yoru on Haven to play the Jet.
Haven
remember?
Jet was astonishingly bad. Yeah.
It feels like a lot of like knee-jerk reaction type stuff when it comes down to just pivoting their compositions and whatnot.
So,
I don't know.
To me, my read is the team was probably a little bit more player-led. Obviously, bringing in Faded like this, I honestly feel a little bit sorry for him. Like, I know to join a team like this is usually a good opportunity, but like he had to join a team with, in my opinion, like a lot of big kind of personalities, like people who see game very differently. Like the way that Les is going to see the game from Brazil and his team is going to be very different than the way that like probably Sayf sees the game, or Trex or DRK. And I think that was just a big problem. So I think that it's like, you know, Faded probably could do better stuff here, but it's like he was maybe, you know, bringing in a tier 2 coach to coach a team like this was kind of difficult.
Yeah, I think you need a level of respect from the players if you want to be able to manage a roster like this that has big, I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but big egos that they've earned, right? Like, these are good players that have known success before. Each of them is going to have a different perspective on how they got their success, and you need to be able to manage that and work with that and tell people no sometimes, and that's a difficult position to work from if you're in Faded's position. Wasn't Faded also added after they'd already started this project? Like, he didn't get in on the ground floor. Maybe I'm talking out my ass.
It felt like Sayf was kind of given the keys a little bit, and then like he kind of joined a little bit into that process.
I mean, Faded got announced that he joined a month after DRK Les joined. So that doesn't mean that he necessarily was. Yeah. But
Vitality announced everything late. SLK and Edgar, their performance coach, was announced like 2 months or 3 months after they joined. So like I think that the announcement thing might be a bit of a ruse here, or a catfish.
Yeah.
I don't think he was on the ground floor from the start though, but I don't know, to be honest.
Okay, so having set a bunch of that context of how dysfunctional things were, we're now in a situation where what are their champs points? Has anyone got that to hand? Because they need to win like a decent amount in stage 2 in order to recover the season for Vitality. And Vitality have spent a lot of money to try to get to that point. But they've decided, okay, they've got 6, is that? I can't quite read it, Kurt.
Yeah, it's 6. They're behind Liquid with 8,
like 5.
Heretics with 9, and Fnatic with 14.
Right. And if you're in 4th place like Vitality, you have to pray that 2 people above you make the finals of stage 2.
Basically praying for Fnatic to make it already.
Yeah, yeah. And you need Fnatic and somebody else above you to make it. Otherwise, you don't get in on chance points. Anyway, a little bit complicated, but they need some wins. And they need to kind of do better than Liquid at least in order to give themselves a better chance. So Sayf has left the team, and they've added UNFAKE and KovaQ. So UNFAKE is going to be the IGL for them, I believe, who's been like an upcoming IGL within the tier 2 scene. I think, did he IGL for Job Life? Is that right?
Yep.
And then KovaQ is duelist player? Dude, I'm losing my mind.
No, he's recently been playing. Well, I guess some rays. He's got a bit of everything, I think.
Right. Okay.
So I think
CyvOph's
catched a bit of a stray here, to be honest with you. Like, their last split, CyvOph was their best player probably, and both DRK and Les were a bit middling. DRK had pretty, to be honest, DRK had a bit of a stinker during that stage as well. So I think that CyvOph's caught a bit of a stray, but I can kind of see what's going on here. Like, KovaQ does seem like a pretty decent pickup here in terms of like the stats and stuff. Having UNFAKE come in, like, they clearly get an IGL now, and he's like a recon player. Like, they never really solved the issue of Trex being benched because Trex was their initiator player, their recon player, and they never really solved that, I don't think. So this is the kind of lineup that you would expect at the start of the year for a team like this, maybe? Like more of a kind of standard, okay, we got a couple of star players, and your IGL, and then like a kind of upcoming rookie. But I don't know, like, if it's too late, like, or, you know, it's a bit of a hard situation for these players to come into, if that makes sense.
Mm.
History on UNFAKE, by the way. He made me puke up once.
Puke?
He made me puke.
Huh?
When we first joined Fnatic in 2021, we were online playing against his team, and they were beating us very badly.
You're young.
And I puked. I puked out of stress. So this guy's made me puke up
He
before.
beat
So
us
he's,
so
scrim or
bad
in a
that you
game.
vomited.
we actually beat them eventually, but I was very stressed at the time, just joining Fnatic, and we weren't doing that well. And then this random Polish team with some guy called UNFAKE was like dropping 30 against us, and like we were throwing the game away, and I just couldn't take it, to be honest with you. So you can kind of see why maybe I did quit coaching, because like
Yeah.
that's how much, you know,
Yeah.
that's how stressed I can get about it. So yeah, so I've known that guy for a while. We trialed him in 2022, I think. He was
And
pretty
yet
good.
you've decided to offer your services part-time to Paper Rex, the least
Yeah,
stressful team in the world.
Like when I watched Paper Rex, like I was literally at the pool too, like Villa, you know, poolside when I was watching their games. But like it feels a bit more like that because it's not my fault if they lose in a way.
I
Like,
mean, sure.
I could just blame
I
Alex,
guess like,
you know?
not being head coach, it does alleviate a bit of stress. Not being there with the team alleviates some stress. But I mean, fuck, I was watching from my house here, and I was ready to shit myself in my own chair. Like,
Speaking of stress, though, one of the Vitality statement about this kind of move, especially revolving around Sayf, said, following the end of Split 1... Hello, wait a second, I just got it in French for some reason. Where's the bloody English version? Following the end of Split 1, Sayf approached us with a request to step down from the active roster to focus on his well-being and to manage the stress of competition. Our focus was to strengthen the structure of the team by finding experience and stabilizing IGL. We found those qualities in UNFAKE. And then initially, our intention was to only replace Sayf. However, during tryouts, we were consistently impressed by KovaQ. After testing multiple player and compositions, the lineup reached its highest potential with both UNFAKE and KovaQ in the starting 5. And CyvOph said that like he's like determined to be back and knows that he's good enough to be able to play at tier 1, which I think is true.
yeah.
And I can also understand why Vitality would be more willing to make a performance, like a bit of a desperate performance-based move here, because it is important for them to be able to make champs and realize their return on investment, I suppose, for this year. A word on Sayf, though. TMV, Sayf had a rough year. Previously, he's had MVP-looking years playing Duelist in EMEA. What do you think? Is this somewhat similar to, like, Finesse, where we see a great player that's had a bit of a rough year, and, like, do you expect to see him return? Has he still got it? Is he the super flex player that maybe he thinks he is, or should he just stick to Duelist? Like, what is your read on Sayf?
My read on Sayf is that, I mean, I don't think the FNS comparison is really there. I think it's more of a screen comparison, I would say, but it's not. Obviously, it wasn't as disastrous as Scream's IGLing. Don't get me wrong, but in terms of being like a leader of the team and trying to be like, this is my team,
Right?
and trying to take over the whole thing. And I think that like sometimes that can go wrong for a number of reasons that we don't know, right? And it might not. It might be Sayf's fault. It might not be Sayf's fault. There might be a ton of different things going on, right? As we said, it's all. It like you said, Mini. The way the whole team was built was kind of just, slap it together and pray that everything goes. In the perfect world, yeah, they could have won a tournament. But in most worlds, it probably does end a bit like this. I think that Sayf has proven enough to like if he wants to come back to a team, I'm not sure if a team would be like, hey, you can just build a roster again. I'm not sure that you would get that kind of trust. But if I mean he like when you're like the highest rated duelist and of just like fucking popping off, like if he wants to, like if someone's gonna go, someone surely like these fucking middling teams or below average teams surely would look at that and be like, well, it's worth a fucking chance, isn't it? Like
For
if he
sure.
wants to do that, like why wouldn't you?
I mean, Sayf's just a weird player because he doesn't want to play duelist, even though it does appear that by far and away he's more impactful on the duelist role.
I think
Even if it's not duelist though, even if it's some other role that he thinks he can play and like proves that he can play and he wants to play that instead, then maybe that can work. I still think if you're a team that, you know, is like a, you know, a bottom to middling team and Sayf is like, I want to play, it's worth at least taking a look. Because he might be really good.
I personally have a little bit of a different take about duelist. I think that when I was building like the 2023 team, the super team, like Sayf was one of the people that we talked to. And my kind of read was that like back then I was like, he probably is just better at duelist. Like Chronicle is probably going to be better at doing the kind of flex stuff. But like he was still at that level, you know what I mean? Like he's still at that high level. I think nowadays, I don't know where I sit on the duelist versus initiator thing. I think that I think his performance can almost be, I wouldn't say you can disregard his performance in this team, but I'd certainly give him a little bit of a pass given the way the team was operating and stuff, and him IGLing. Like I think that there's a lot of things there that I would be happy to give him a chance on, like a flex role in a fairly decent team. Like I genuinely think he's one of the best players we have in EMEA still. I think he's one of the smartest players we have in EMEA. I think his problems probably come from like caring too much about the community's like opinions and engaging with that side of things, and like it feels more like a personality thing with him, whereas like I've always had the utmost respect for him as a player. Like in the server, like he is phenomenal. But it's when there's the kind of out of server things I think impact him, it's like that's when you see him at his worst, I guess. And I guess being an IGL, you're going to need to take on those things. And if you don't know how to deal with them, like both start to go through fucking 4 years of being called a noob for him to come at the other side, a much stronger man, you know what I mean? It takes a bit of resilience. And yeah, he still gets called a noob, but he kind of twerks at people now to, you know, twerks on the haters now, rather than like getting annoyed by it than what he would do in the past, you know?
And Sayf was also one of the biggest reasons why this star power was attracted to Vitality in the first place. Now, I'm sure that the money didn't hurt at all. But when you hear from the players as to like what attracted them to want to play with the Vitality roster, a lot of it was that they wanted to play with Sayf. Like they believed in the vision. Now, the vision didn't work, but they at least were on board with like going there and playing and wanted to be playing alongside him. So
was that
at least outwardly? It doesn't really
much
read well if you say like, "Well, I joined because they're paying me a fucking bag."
No, but what you could say is you joined because they had a good chance of winning a trophy, or you joined because you believed in the project or something. But when DRK and Les were asked about this, like one of the big things was that they said it was about like playing with Sayf was something that they wanted to do. Now Les did say he didn't have a fucking clue who Sayf was until he played with him in trials. And then he was like, damn, this guy's good. So
he didn't have a clue who he was.
I'm exaggerating.
Went to champs.
I'm exaggerating a bit, but he didn't know much about it.
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah. Let's focus back in, I suppose, on the actual roster. Are they going to be able to make it to champs? Give me the hot take now.
Maybe.
Nope.
I'm not taking a maybe from you, TMV.
Well, I'm going to say fucking maybe, because I think saying hard no, I think is ridiculous. I think it's ridiculous.
Me.
Because if DRK and Les pop off, they're going to fucking make... They're going to make... If DRK plays at DRK's peak, they're making champs. Don't fucking worry about it. Put me in there. We make champs if DRK...
If DRK plays like he did this split, then they don't make it. If DRK plays like he did in stage 1, then they make it. And it's just whether, like, how... It's now DRK and Les. Like, if it's a bit like how I viewed Fnatic at the start of the year. I was almost like Alpha and Chrono, like a big piece to this team. Like, if they can't pop off, it's not going to go so well. And you saw it like Toronto, like Alpha and Chrono were like the two ones popping off, I think. And I think that it's the same for this team now. It's like if Les and DRK are popping off, then they make champs. If they don't make champs.
They have a very winnable group, I would say. Oh, not winnable, I suppose. Well, maybe winnable, fuck knows. But they have like a group that they should be doing well in, at least. Like a get to playoffs.
These days.
Where am I at with
so
Team
I forgot they're in a
Heretics?
group with Heretics. Never mind. Yeah, let me. Check.
Only lost to the number 1 and the number 3 seeds, baby. Only lost to the number. In fact, they haven't lost since April to the number. So anyone apart from the number 1, 2, or 3 seeds from
This is such
Toronto.
fucking cope, man.
They're a
This is
great
such
team.
fucking
They're the
cope.
4th best team in the world. 4th best team in the world. Until they
Fourth
actually
best team
play
in the
against
world,
G2.
looking like one of the worst.
Until they play against G2. And then they'd be the 5th best team in the world. And then I can't even remember who finished 5th. But okay,
Have you seen that meme about G2? It's like G2 are like the potential team or something.
yeah.
I think we need one for Heretics for you probably because it's the same thing but just Heretics.
Yeah, it's sad. I mean, I need them to make another final and lose. Basically, the same thing that I felt about PaperX, where I want them
now
to make
feel
it deep
about
and
Heretics?
lose.
Well, you
Yes,
This I can get on board with.
Pain and suffering.
Fuck your previous take about Paper X needing to lose. That sucked. But I am all aboard the train of Heretics never winning a trophy.
Okay,
It's very
so you
funny.
agree. You agree with the take. You just couldn't agree with it when it was PaperX because you loved them too much. Like, yes, it's sick to watch teams try and then fail and then try again and get so close and like it's cinema, man. That's what I'm saying.
I felt the same thing about like multiple esports in the past, whether it was League or Overwatch. I was just
God,
like,
I
if
would've
there's always
paid
this
to
team
have-
there's always this team that is dominant, and then like that could be very interesting. But if there's always this team that always gets close and they never get it done, then that's also interesting.
Yeah, now I
But-
need it to be Heretics. They
I
can't be
would've
shit though.
loved
If they're
that.
shit, it's
I'm
terrible.
fine with it as long as it's just not my team.
Heretics can't be shit, but they also can't win. They have to make it deep, and then they have to fail, and then I have to get more and more roped into the story. And then, bro, if you do that enough, people are gonna love you because they're just gonna look at you like a sad kicked puppy.
Not Seth. Not Seth.
Seth will eventually love them. Seth will eventually love them.
I would have paid to see him
Fuck 'em.
cast that Gen G game against G2. That Icebox. Imagine Seth casting that game as he's watching Gen G just fucking choke. So hard.
I have a question for you, TMV, because both you and I can relate to this because you're a Minnesota Vikings fan and I'm a Buffalo Bills fan.
Oh,
Do you okay, for those that don't know, they're both American football teams that have made the Super Bowl multiple times and have never won. How do you feel about this take, TMV? Do you think it's worthwhile or do you want to just win?
I think there is a mystique to being a Vikings or Bills fan in that you've lost the most and not won it. I think that it does hold. Like you kind of become the champion of pain. You know, you are like a bit of a special case. It is something to, I mean, not be proud of, but it does separate you somewhat. Like if you're a Heretics fan and they do keep losing, if they've lost like 5 finals and haven't won one, and you're still and you're still like a Heretics fan, it gives you something. It is like, well,
Kurt here. We are killing Kurt. I mean, also though, I'm thinking back now that you've made the traditional sports references, right? To like, it works as well if you won a long time ago and you're trying to reclaim the glory. Like England's narrative every time they go into an international event is so funny because they're just harping on about an event that happened a lifetime
before,
ago.
yeah, most people
A
have done.
lifetime ago, man.
I mean, the Brits talking about how like, oh yeah, Germany, World
Yeah,
Cup, that kind of shit.
60 years
and Germany
ago.
doesn't fucking give a shit.
Because
could
they've won.
not
But
be
that's the
asked.
point. They don't care because they've won since then, right? And that's what makes the difference. You you have to lose in order to really
And
cherish
everyone in the
each
UK
win.
is like, oh, it's the greatest rivalry in football, and Germany's just like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah. I'm telling you. You
I
gotta
quite enjoy
you
it
gotta
being
love
bad
the
at football,
losers.
though. Like, don't you get annoyed by those people that have hope for English football? There's almost like they're too happy
But-
when you go to
Yeah,
work and
it's not
stuff.
very
you know?
English.
But the thing is though, even when they're happy, you know they're going to be sad later when England
It'll come-
loses.
It's coming.
That's
yeah.
good. Yeah, that is
Part of
good.
the-
So
That's part
I
of the joy,
enjoy
though.
I enjoy getting really hyped up at the beginning, knowing that I'm gonna get disappointed. Like it's more fun to get mega amped up at the beginning, knowing you're gonna lose later on. Because the crash is gonna be biblical, so the hype up has to be the same. All
Is
I'm saying
UK
is people just need
football
to
hype-
cherish losers, okay? You need to learn to love losers. People out there. You can't just love the winners. It's not all about winning, it's about loving losing as well.
I mean, loving losers is how I, that was what my wife approached, and that's how we got married. She wanted to just like, you know what? I'll go for this guy who's got nothing going on for her. I was gonna say, is UK football culture kind of just like the John QT1 meme, like that just throw up
Yeah,
that and then
basically.
just
Well,
get-
it's not.
yeah.
It's not UK because Scottish and Welsh and Irish people all very much enjoy England suffering.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah.
It's
I mean-
the British.
English football, though, is more like, you know, when Benji Fishy was popping off when they were beating Paper Rex at Masters Madrid?
Yeah.
And then they
Oh, I
got
remember
beaten
it
later on?
dearly.
That's what it's more like. Like, you make a lot of noise when you're winning, and then you just get crushed, and you're
So
back into your hole.
I think the reason why I'm actually happy to see Heretics lose all the time is because of Madrid. And I think it was. I think that was the moment that spawned the hatred. And I was just like, I'm happy to just see this team fail all the time. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, they pissed off a bunch of people as well before this event too. All right, let's move on.
Actually, that's spiteful, but
let's move on. Gentlemates. This is another team. Listen, I actually like the moves that Gentlemates are making. If we're talking about another team that are trying to make it to Paris and look like they're putting like moves in the right direction, hold on a second. This team's kind of cooking with some of these moves. So Click had a lot of hype coming around him. That was their duelist player, German duelist player coming into this year. Had quite bad performances, actually. Maybe not even just didn't meet potential, but actually looked quite bad in some of their games. Yeah. And then and then Kada, he's been around for a while, and it looks like they want to make a replacement there too. I think some level of roster change had to happen for them to recover their season, but the players that they're bringing in seem like good.
I mean, comeback joining just means that they've won this like exchange of players. like this is the best player that you can possibly get in this moment. I presume it's not on a long contract. I presume it's literally in a get us to champs please kind of contract.
Well, again, they're an Ascension team, so I assume it's just a obviously Click get relegated.
So Comeback's the obvious big hitter here that like everyone should know, and if you don't know, he is like the best tier 2 player in the EMEA right now. Plays for BBL Pacific. And then Veqaj is someone who I kind of knew a little bit, like he's like another good duelist player. So it's interesting they've just basically picked up 2 incredibly high firepower duelist players. And it seems like they're going for like a chamber duelist approach in their kind of tournaments they're playing in between. And then Proxh is someone I've never heard of, but like JT is their analyst, who's like I've had him do some work for me in the past, and like he really knows his shit when it comes to like numbers and stuff. So I presume this is like a scouting masterclass from him, and he seems to be doing quite well. So I have quite a lot of faith in what they're putting together here.
And then the players that they've kept, like I thought Mini played some really nice games. Like considering that he's calling for them and playing Senti, like he was putting up some really nice performances. And then Kamik just joined as well, like not that long ago, right? So this team it's in no way recognizable from even the beginning of this year. Never mind the team that actually got them into tier 1. But it might do the job if there was anything that could recover this team's season. Because they basically need to make the finals. This is a team that can't rely on champs points if they want to make it. But at least they got to make playoffs. Sorry, go on.
How are you supposed to read the assistant coach's ID again?
McWanker.
It is a bit like that, yeah.
It's McWanker. I mean, if you want to put a bit more Spanish spice on it, you can, but I think it's
just
some people's names are meant to be pronounced a certain way, and I think McWank is perfect.
I asked
double checking,
and she literally said it back to me like how I think it's said, and I was just like, I'm not saying that.
That's great.
Yeah, that's when you.
Don't.
What are you about to say?
Okay. You knew where I was going with it.
No,
I don't even need to say the joke.
I genuinely have no idea.
No, when you get the nuggets with extra mayo. Okay. Anyway.
That's just psychopathic, though. Like who's putting mayonnaise on nuggets?
Just skip past it.
What? Absolutely. Move on. Hold on. Okay, never mind then. Do you think that this team is going to be able to do it? I love the changes that they've made, but they need to go 2 steps to this, right? First of all, they need to make playoffs in order to secure another year, or at least a chance at playing in Ascension. Then, number 2, they either need to win Ascension or they need to make the grand finals of Stage 2. Are they going to be able to do that in order to come back for a second year?
It's going to be difficult for them to do it without going through Ascension qualifiers. And I'm now thinking, does Comeback stay on this team? Like he's now, it's versus BBL Pacific. And it's just like, they've just taken, it's such a masterclass of a move because they've taken the strongest player away from the team who's expected to win Ascension and just put them on their team, which is
It's pretty sick.
Genius.
It's pretty
genius.
sick, yeah.
They need to make playoffs. I mean, their group is. Group is okay. I think likelihood I would say is that they can make playoffs and make it to Ascension, but that's the thing. I'm quite interested to see the Ascension tournaments because I'm interested in knowing like, you know, the gap. I want to see like these teams play against the tier 2 teams because I don't know exactly what to expect.
There was like a little tournament in the EMEA where NAVI just played against NAVI and Gentlemen's just played, and there was like it was competitive for sure. How serious they took it, I don't know.
They'd be better in the other group, I think. Because, I mean, listen, who would they replace? But, like, even if you just swap Genomates and Apex, I think I'd feel better about their chances of getting wins in Group Omega, because I'd be looking at them to beat KOI, to beat NAVI, maybe, to beat KC, maybe, as well. Whereas in Group Alpha, I really
depends on
don't
Vitality
know about
somewhat. They're praying for a Vitality.
Yeah. You're hoping
Even
Vitality
then, it's pretty
crumbles.
rough.
You're hoping, like, Heretics crumbles as well, really.
Yeah.
You're hoping you don't
Yeah.
get, like, normal dominant Heretics.
It'd be like Heretics and Giant X that you're looking at.
I mean, for
Jump over.
sure, you're looking at overtaking Giant X, but then you're hoping, like, BBL Vitality or Heretics have a wobbler. I think Foot are probably going to be pretty
Okay, at
solid.
least.
But
I feel a bit sorry for them because they seem to, at the start of the year, they're a bit of a dark horse team. They did pretty well. They kind of exceeded expectations. Now they're making fairly sane, rational choices for the rest of their season. And it's like, if they don't make it back, it's a bit like, well, they kind of got, I don't know. It's like an org that is making decent decisions, I think, and they're not being rewarded for it. So I would feel a bit sorry for them if they didn't get back to VCT.
The global esports of EMEA.
yeah, maybe. But I think they've made a really nice roster move here. Okay, let's move on, though, to a team that they're going to be competing against, which is Movistar KOI.
This is my fucking team now. This is my fucking EMEA
Yeah, because
team
they've
now.
got nataNk.
Not only do they have fucking nataNk, MONSTEER and baddyG have both played for Ascend. This is my fucking team. I'm fucking all in.
I mean,
Let's fucking go, KOI. Win a fucking game.
kind of. I mean, it worked with Wolves. Your support
Did
for
work
Wolves,
with Wolves, yeah.
sent them to third place.
Could I ask first, like,
KOI
what do you
confirmed
guys
third place of champs.
What do you guys think went wrong with KOI? Because on paper, I thought they had all the right ingredients for like a dark horse kind of team run, and they just couldn't seem to play Valorant when they actually were at the server. Like, I think their coaching staff was good. I have respect for their coaching staff. I think all the players were fine. Like, you know, it wasn't superstar-studded lineup, but like they were losing in fashions that I was just like, well, this doesn't make sense to me. Did you guys have any read on that at all?
I remember early in the season, like after they played KC or whatever, and feeling like they had played their first like map in each game was like, I remember they played against Foot, right, on that Pearl, and I was like, wow, Foot looked fucking amazing on that Pearl. And then they played like KC playing their weird shit on Lotus, and I felt like, oh, you know, they ran into a weird KC, you know, hadn't seen that before, got destroyed. And then it was just like, then like if you look at their schedule, then it's like, okay, then they played a pretty good BBL, then they played, you know, a kind of getting better Liquid as well. Maybe they just played teams at the wrong time and got kind of like a bit unfortunate to catch teams.
That's a bit cope, though, isn't it?
It is a bit cope because it's KOI, but I don't give a shit about old KOI now. I'm in on this KOI.
Okay,
This
but
KOI, Mini just got fucking flashbacks to baddyG. He hates
I hate
this
baddyG,
team.
yeah.
I think
that
such a nice guy.
Old KOI had such a dull roster to me because I couldn't think of like who was actually going to be the star that was going to push them to do anything, if you know what I mean. And I suppose like Grabinho had like pretty good results the previous year, but then actually ended up being one of their worst performing players this season. It was actually Soulcast that ended up being like, you know, he popped off for them in the final game, for example. But maybe you're looking at like Shados to be their big player, but then he's on such a supportive role. I just think the roster was made in quite a bland, vanilla kind of way that never really allowed individual talents to shine because they were on more supportive roles. But this version of the roster certainly seems like it has more punch to me. Like I'm looking at this roster and I'm like, well, I at least know where the big games could come from. Because you've seen it from people in the past. From these guys. So yeah, I mean, I don't
baddyG
mind
hasn't
it.
been a VCT, right? This is his first time, right?
No,
Yeah,
and
so this-
Monster as well. I mean, Monster
VCT,
took a
you mean
break.
like post-partnership?
like
Yeah.
partnership, yeah.
Yeah, both MONSTEER and baddyG, I'm surprised that this is their first time, especially even MONSTEER here. Like, I think that my narrative is that, like, traditional Sentinels got absolutely fucked over when we went into partnership because it was chamber meta. And so Monster, Magnum, and Chiwa both missed out on VCT because they were good traditional Sentinel players, and people just forgot that like they were gonna have to be like they forgot that like those players existed almost. And so I'm glad to see this guy. Like this guy's insane. Like this guy.
One of the things I liked about Monster though was that he played a lot of Viper even back when a lot of people were playing a lot of traditional Senti kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm surprised that we haven't seen him up yet. But he's definitely one of the T2 players that I'm excited to watch.
Yeah. This is my team. This team's gonna fuck.
Okay,
Right,
what does fuck mean in this context?
I don't know. Fuck it. They'll come third in champs.
Third in champs. Get the fuck out of here. Are they making playoffs?
See that group?
We've just looked at their group. It's the one that Jano Mates are in.
They got
Apex,
Oh yeah, no. They're in the fucking Apex group. They got Apex, KC as shit.
Oh
NAVI,
yeah, sorry, they're in the opposite group. My bad.
Fnatic will probably hit a peak right now. They'll probably fade off.
They'll beat Fnatic, will they? They'll be better than Fnatic.
Liquid, you don't know what Liquid are
I mean,
gonna do.
baddyG has the best record against Boaster of any player in the world, I think.
There you go.
Because he subbed in and just whacked him.
No, because he beat us when he played. I probably should have puked this time too, but he played in the team called Ballista, and they beat us. And then we got DRK Magnum. He basically made us get DRK Magnum because they beat us earlier.
Good guy then. Good guy.
Yeah, I mean, all in all, it works out.
Yeah.
Thank you, baddyG.
So, are they making playoffs?
No.
Yes, Mini. Yes, they are.
Okay, and then if they are making playoffs,
no.
Yeah, I think they got a
It's
chance.
I think it's possible.
I think it's a coin flip versus Navi because I don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, I think they could beat Navi for sure.
So
I actually prefer their roster to Navi's. Like, I'm more interested in watching the KOI roster now than I am in Navi, which is a weird situation.
Why is that? Is that just because Navi, we've seen enough of them now?
Well, I suppose they're going to make a change, which we'll talk. I mean, let's talk Navi, actually. Let's move on to talking Navi. So they've benched Koala Noob, and they have signed, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Alexic.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Pretty easy, actually.
all you have to do is read it.
I have seen this team, and they're quite a... Some teams are really like kill-hungry, opportunistic, aggressive teams. And some teams kind of plot around the map. And while they play like pretty decent Valorant, there's nothing that like exciting to grab onto. And I just feel like when I look at the KOI roster, I'm expecting to see a bit of excitement. And when I look at this roster, I don't know much about Alexic, so maybe he's the excitement. But I don't see much excitement with this, unless they're running like, you know, Koala Noobs on Omen on Icebox or something, which was pretty interesting. Outside of that, it was a bit dull and ponderous from Navi, I think, so far this year.
Let me give you some excitement. When Benji Fishy was on Enterprise Esports, and I was watching Ascend play against Enterprise, was I worried about Benji Fishy? No. I was worried about Alexic.
Okay.
Ruth. There's your hype.
Okay.
This guy can play. Seen it multiple times. I've seen him take over games multiple times.
You should be a salesman. Fuck, I'm so convinced.
If I looked at this roster at the start of the year, I'd be like, it's an insane roster. I'd be way more, like, for context against KOI, I'd be more excited for this roster on paper. Like, Ruxic to me was like rookie smokes player, like number 1 or number 2 on my list. Hero is Hero. Shao and Angel. And then this
they got a great
is
roster
like,
on paper.
it just doesn't seem to work. Like, this is Angel's last dance as far as I'm concerned. Like, I've been an Angel defender for a long time, but if this doesn't work now, then I think that it's like someone else probably needs to come to Navi and take over, I think, at this point.
I really liked their game against Vitality. It was like towards the end of the season. I think it was, I don't know, week 4 or something. But they were playing really aggro. They were like trying to get their players into quite unexpected positions, constantly caught Vitality off guard. Like, it looked like a really well game planned map, and also one where there was more flair and more aggression coming out from these players. Wait, why am I looking at Artisan Zipan? This is from 1992, I think.
I thought, I don't know.
This is a great game, though.
Do you want to speak on
this? Is a great game. I don't know. I mean, I don't remember this game at all, but that's. That's
I
from a long
scrolled
ass
way
time
too
ago.
far down.
That
I'm like,
Brim on
"Ah,
Lotus
screw
that I
it."
just saw.
What?
It was a very recent game.
Like
Brim on Lotus. Were they
That's
really
what I
playing
think we
Brim on
just
Lotus?
saw, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Navi. They run Brim.
Get
on.
artists back, basically. That's what I'm saying. No, I just want them. I like the roster. I just haven't seen much flair from them except in like occasional matches throughout the year. And I'm hoping. I think you kind of need Ruxic to be partly doing that. He does seem to be quite aggro in terms of the way that he posts up and plays. But it's a bit weird when he's been also like playing a lot of Astra for them on some maps as well early in the season, early in the year.
My
Yeah.
thing is, they see in the recent games that they were playing, they had Xiao playing some Sentinel. I think Xiao on Sova. Can we not just put Xiao on Sova, please? Like just full time Sova fade.
Okay,
please?
but the problem with that
Just
is,
please.
what is Angel playing?
I don't give a shit.
No, but you should, because Angel can hyper feed games if you put him on the wrong
Well,
role.
ISO if he wants.
No, you
He used a
you
hyper
silly
feed
bastard.
and still find success.
Angel ISO. Who wouldn't watch that if you want excitement?
I would. The viewership numbers should be going through the roof for an Angel
mean-
ISO.
He at least have a shield to try to stay alive a little
Yeah.
longer.
I would love
Just
that.
insta
actually.
shield at the start of every round. I'm peeking this angle, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, his old special was just getting one tapped as soon as he would jump peek or swing a corner, and then just be dead for the whole round. So at least give him a shield so that he has a chance to fight back.
Yeah. Yeah. Angel Clove. Give him 2 lives. Maybe he doesn't want it. Maybe he just chooses never to use it.
This is never uses the all.
I think
Let's-
he would be on the like
No,
flash
I
roll,
die.
but he claims that he can't play breach because like it doesn't vibe with the idea of him like standing there having to look at the minimap and then call at the same time or something. There was some really weird explanation he gave to me as to why he doesn't want to play the flash in a
He's
shooter.
usually calling without looking at the minimap, is he?
No,
He
like
plays with no
kind of
minimap.
like it was so micro intensive to be kind of looking at this
Right.
one spot or something. I don't know. It wasn't a very good explanation to me, but
Okay.
there was some rationale there for it, you know.
Yeah, yeah. There always is with Angel. Like, he genuinely does have, like, a vision of how he wants to play the game, how he thinks the game should be played. Like, he definitely thinks about it a ton. He's just honestly got some weird ideas about it. But he's a cool personality to have around. It'd be a loss if Navi did end up going badly and he lost his, like, you know, role as the leader on the team. Let's wrap up by talking about 2 squads, though, that people are probably going to care about a little bit less, if I had to guess. Giant X, after KOI dissolved their previous roster, Grabino was kind of floating around on the open market, and so Giant X have brought him in to replace Purpo, who went over to Job Life. A lot of people coming up from Job Life, Purpo going down to Job Life. Grabino had a pretty bad season so far, but was pretty good last season. This now looks like a good roster too, honestly. Like, on paper, Ara Flickless were playing well when they got subbed in. Cloud's great.
Out.
And, you know, you've got
Side was decent.
you got pieces here that should be able to do something if they can actually play some good Valorant. I just struggle to care about this org because they've never done shit.
I think every time we see this roster iteration, like the iterations of this roster, I feel like most people say that like it looks quite good, and then it just is a bit bland. And so for me, again, it's like I love Pipson, but this is now Pipson's being part of Giants now for what, like the entirety of VCT. So I think again, like if they can't pull anything out here, then it's probably his time too, I guess.
Yeah. Any further thoughts about this?
I think Pipson was actually telling me that it was really hard to find smokes players in EMEA, which I don't necessarily agree with. So, but I think Grabino is a good smokes player. He just had a rough time on KOI. And then Purpo is the biggest what-if kind of player, in my opinion. Like, he used to, like, 40 bomb us, like, every single scrim. And then on stage, I feel like he never kind of lived up to that same potential. So,
No.
if Purpo can figure out what the hell's going on with, like, playing in officials, like,
He's the icy
definitely
of EMEA.
Oh.
potentially.
People talking about his 40 bombs and then never quite showcasing it. Let's move on then to talking about Apex. Now, obviously, Apex had to do like quite a significant roster shuffle. They've also ended up having Governor leave for Winthrop University. So they've got they had 3 spots to fill, right? Because they also had did Batu leave this team? Am I losing my mind?
No,
Is
Batu's
Batu
he's-
still on the team? Okay, Batu's still on the team, sorry. Right, so they've added OLIZERA and SimonD4rk to the squad, and that's pending SimonD4rk's visa approval, I think, is what the reports were saying. Any knowledge about these players, Mini? Did you? I mean, I see that you played against them in 2020.
SimonD4rk sounds like a 90s kids cartoon character.
So OLIZERA is someone who's just been playing in KoI Academy, I believe. Like, he's been doing quite well in Tier 2. Like, I don't think he's like a superstar, but definitely, to be honest with you, like, Governor had a bit of a disaster, I feel like, in this team. So I feel like this makes logical sense. SimonD4rk, yeah, SimonD4rk's a funny one. Like, me and Bo still talk about this guy from 2020 Summon FC days. Like, he was like one of the main Jet players we used to play against in scrims, like, constantly. And we would try and get him for our team, I think, sometimes. It's kind of funny, like, there's this EMEA resurgence of these old players from literally, like, 2020 or 2021 now making it to VCT in a weird way. I don't think he's, like, a superstar, but, like, he's good and he's been around the block. Like, he knows how to play Valorant, and I think that's probably pretty good to have mid-season, is someone who's not new to this, but still, like, there's a little bit of excitement because he hasn't ever been to VCT, you know?
Right.
Oh, they're gonna say it's pretty good to have somebody who knows how to play Valorant.
You know what I mean? Like, a little bit of he is experienced to some degree, but, you know, he's not got the same experience as, like, VCT experience, if that makes sense.
Sure, sure.
Is this the only Ascension team that's given up?
I mean, it's gonna be tough.
Every other Ascension team, there's a narrative you can make as to, like, how they're gonna
2G
get there. 2G, though, are getting Spike back at least, so that's like something where you can make a case for it. I mean, I'm not saying it's a strong case.
I think you can say that you could drum up some interest, get a little bit of excitement going. Maybe not full blown belief, but you know,
Apex is just like, I don't even want to watch this team. I got to be honest with you.
Jesus.
Yeah, now that Governor's gone, I have no
Do
interest
you?
in the squad.
Why? I love the game.
Just a fucking fan of the game out here. Just
fucking love
the pure love of the game. I'll
fucking watch it.
I'm tilted that they haven't been running Batu on some kind of like double duelist or at least like roles where he can op or anything.
Maybe they
like
will now.
Maybe they will. Yeah, I'm fucking too late, busters.
Not too late. It's the start of stage 2. This is the one that matters.
What's their group? TMV, what is their group?
They're in the KOI. I mean, they are in the KOI group, so they got no fucking chance.
Right, okay. So they're going to get battered by KOI, Fnatic, Liquid.
Yeah.
Maybe Karmine Corp as well.
And
I mean, Karmine Corp have got more reasons to try than Apex, I feel, at this point. Because at least KC feel like they might have a chance of making Paris.
I hope if Apex get any wins in this group, it's against KOI, just to fuck with TMB.
Look, I already have had the best time ever supporting a team with Wolves, so it can't go any better than that. It can't. I've already peaked.
Yeah, I watched
you're right. I'm not
going
gonna
to
watch any
stream
of these
moments.
games.
You
Fuck
definitely
it.
had the best time I've ever seen.
This game's fucking shit.
Okay, all right, well, and that's us for EMEA then, I guess. This game's fucking shit. We'll end on that. We're gonna start talking about Americas now. We're gonna bring in Niang, who is our Brazilian expert, and we're gonna say goodbye to Achilles.
Fuck off.
Right.
Yeah, we'll just go to see ya, dude.
we're gonna go to
the rest of you, TMV, go fuck yourself.
We're gonna go to a small break, I think. Shall we?
Let's
Kurt?
do a 3-minute break and get Niang in here.
Yeah.
Ascend of fake champions.
Sorry.
Wow.
Ascend of fake champions is what he said.
What?
I'm kicking you out of the call.
Something I don't quite get.
I don't believe any Pacific team has won champions.
Why? What did we treat the Pacific talent badly? Why are they so territorial, man?
I had this. I think I was talking to Victoria a lot because we watched quite a few of the PaperX games, and it feels. I think it's because honestly, I think we can kind of just overlook Pacific, right? I think it's just that vibe. Where it's like it feels like we just.
But they're on top of the world now, Mick. This is what happens.
Now they are, of course. And so
yeah, but that's why I think what's going on is they were neglected for a while. Yeah. And now they're on top, so now they're like, fuck you.
That makes sense, honestly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, you all hatred in your heart. We're talking about normal people.
Niang is here. You're done. I've never kicked someone out of the call, but I'm kicking you. There you go.
Even Kurt's sick of it.
Oh,
just-
Kurt
Mini's
hates
gone.
Pacific.
Whatever.
It's fine. It's
Hey,
fine.
Yang, how you doing? You good?
Hello everyone. I'm good, and you?
Yeah, good, thank you. Good, thank you. We've been looking to have somebody on to represent...
Who actually knows what they're fucking talking about.
Yeah, exactly, for a long time. Do you know what you're talking about? I suppose we should have asked.
Yeah, I know. I was reading the run show, so I would do my best to try to express myself in English. So thank you very much for inviting me. It's a huge pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Sometimes we can definitely get lost in the midst of what's happening because Brazil has such a like you guys have a ton of reporting and podcasting and interview content that all just lives within the Portuguese scene that sometimes we can't like tap into very well. So it is good to have a little bit more insight there.
Yeah,
But
feel
I
free
do.
to ask me anything you guys want to know.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with a non-Brazilian team, which is picking up a Brazilian player. So I think that's a good place to begin, to be honest with you. So we'll start with Leviathan. So Leviathan, to give a bit of context, I mean, Mini, would you describe this as another failed super team attempt?
Failed super team. Sorry, this is the only one that I haven't got notes for because I've just forgotten about it. So
Well,
let me see.
Lev
I
had
wouldn't say
like,
they're a failed super team this year.
you think
I wouldn't say
last year with Aspas?
Last year with Aspas, I think, was the super team.
You don't
And
think
they
bringing
fit-
in Demon 1 as a replacement was an attempt to kind of keep that magic kind of
Maybe a
super
little
team
bit.
feeling?
But I don't feel like people had the same expectation at the start of the year. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
I love calling teams super teams just to put pressure on them. I don't think I ever believed that Lev was really a super team, even with
No.
Aspas, to be honest with you.
But a star-studded roster, is that fair
Of
to
course,
say?
yeah. Yeah.
But they at least played better than they were playing right now. And I think that's one of the causes is because the style they are playing right now with Demon 1 is more or less, I don't know, is more aggressive than with Aspas. But also at the same time, Demon 1 was not the same duelist as he was back to the EG time. I don't know if he needs to be with another duelist to be more aggressive. Hey, are you guys hearing me?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. We're just listening.
So, because I don't know if they need to be with, he need to be with one more duelist, but I don't know if he is the same duelist as we used to be to watch.
Yeah. My read on Demon 1 back in the day was that he was always like quite a he would let the game come to him more than like go and hunt for kills. Like I think the team did a really good job of setting him up in positions where like people would be forced to peek into him rather than him going and having to like force fights really heavily. And I think that's really tough to get back into when you have to change your style like that and try to, you know, leap back into playing when the game's evolved so much since you were at your best. Anyway, they got rid of him. So so this might be the last that we talk about Demon 1 this year. He's getting moved to reserve roster. And Rossi also, let's give a moment to talk about Rossi. Did anybody watch his interview with Wyatt? Did you get a chance to watch that?
You mean with Bren?
Not well, yeah, exactly. It's a piece of media content. It is a piece of media content. It's well worth having a listen to. An unusual figure, and I think, yeah, one that's really been bouncing around from team to team and yet to find a spot that really vibes with his kind of attitude towards the game, I suppose.
Is there a summary you got for that? I remember looking at it and being like, am I gonna do this? And I think I decided against it.
If I've got a summary for it, I mean, a summary's a weird way of putting it, but I would say Yapper Central, who he's got like, I think what might rub people the wrong way, and again, this is me doing a little bit of a mixture of armchair psychology and speculation from inside the team, so it's a little bit unfair, to be honest. Take it with a grain of salt. Is like, he tends to, you know, like when you have a friend, it's quite a British thing actually, who like teases you constantly, but it's supposed to be in a way where they want that back as well, and it's supposed to build that camaraderie. But when you're doing that with people who are a little bit more introverted or maybe a bit more insecure as well, it can definitely rub people the wrong way, and they don't like actually enjoy that level of a banter relationship. You know, they might want somebody like a Boaster on the team who's just there to like bring the vibe up, and instead it's like banter jibes with the idea that we can all take it and we can all give it, and it kind of makes criticism easier, but actually it just ends up fucking the vibe. Is again armchair psychology. Don't have a real clue about what's going on.
I
but that
have to
was
pick
the
you
vibe
there.
I got.
Boaster's pissed off my teammates so many times.
Oh, really?
with little jabs. Yeah, he's not good at like.
Okay,
you
fair
know.
enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So instead, they've got Sato and Okeanos. So let's start with Sato. A lot of hype has been made around these players that were like, he's recently been playing for M80, but previously he was playing for Galeris, and a lot of hype's been made around Luxio and how good Luxio was. But a lot of people who follow that team were saying that Sato was even better than he was in that team. Now, I didn't watch a ton of them, but would you agree with that, Nyang? Would you say that he was like up there from the level of like Luxio, who's just been dominating games in Americas?
Yeah, I do. In all the stage 1 here for the VCB, the Valorant Challengers Brazil, he was the one who is stepping up. Here in Brazil, we have some players like Luxio, Sato, Spike Zin, Blow Zin. They are all young players, and besides having the huge aim, they are also became the huge smart player. And Sato is that duelist for me. He know how to play with operator right now, and his pool is really huge right now also. But at the same time, all of this, I think it's from Shao. Do you remember Shao? Shao was the coach for Galeries, and now he's the coach for Furia, at least as far as we know. So I think Shao did a great job trying to understand what was the strongest points of these players, and shaping Sato to become the greatest duelist he is right now is a huge point of his job. But I do think that Sato still have some problems to be aggressive sometimes. I do think that he is understanding more how to play in North America than he was playing here in Brazil. He understands and can speak very fluently English, so I think he's fitting very well on this team. But for me, one thing that changed almost everything for this team right now is because King was playing the duelist before. So right now, at least they have one mainly duelist on the team.
Yeah, that was a bit weird. Like, I mean, they had like a lot of people who could have played duelist, but they just had to rotate it around so much.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah,
I can't remember if it was TMV or was League, but they called Sato as the youngest, the little aspas, and less Luxio as the little less, was something like that.
Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I mean, Luxio's been utterly phenomenal. If Sato's anywhere near as good, this will be an outrageously good pickup for Leviathan. Are the rest of you familiar with the games that they've been playing with M80?
I've seen a little bit. I've seen the thing that like I think is good right now. Looking at this is playing Yoru. Right, I think that if you're picking up a duelist right now, they have to be playing Yoru, in my opinion. Like you have to want that to be a part of your team. You know, we talked about it with EDG and maybe the problems they're having with it. Like if you're playing Yoru and like he has a good rating on Yoru, which you can see there, right? Like that gives me some hope for this team. And like, yeah, Leva, I mean, let's face it, throughout stage 1, it was a fucking roller coaster, right? You've got King starting off IGL, then not being IGL, you know, then Rossi's coming in, then he's playing duelist. It was just a big mess. It felt like they didn't know how to assemble the pieces together. So I think just simplifying it and having like, this guy is our duelist, you know, he can speak English, as we've just heard. That's good, right? And yeah, he can play Yoru, and that's important right now. So I mean, 1.01 KPR. Yeah. That's
crazy.
Nuts.
You were like, he's got a pretty good rating on Yoru. 1.34 is like absurd. It's bonkers, yeah. And that's playing against some decent teams too. You know, that's not playing against some plumbers.
Do we know who the coach is coming in? Sorry.
Yeah, Nyang, you were saying that it was Shao.
Yeah, it is. No. Shao was his previous coach from Galleries.
And he's going to Furia. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Do you know who's joining Leviathan? Because I don't actually know who's there.
Learn anything?
Yeah, because
Desmo's assistant coach, but I don't think he'll get he could get promoted, I guess.
Idapata has left to join Focus, so he's no longer the head coach for the team. I think think he had a pretty tough spot. He was brought in like midway through last season to try to fix a sinking ship. And I don't know. I mean, to be honest, maybe you could say, yeah, pretty good. And also, I don't know how much power he had over retooling the team in the offseason. So I don't know whether you put the weird roster construction at his feet, because it was a weird roster construction, right? But yeah, where are we expecting Leviathan to come? It definitely feels like a more sensible roster, but it also, something that we were saying previously was that if Lev click randomly at some point, they could have been incredibly good. We didn't know what would make them click or why.
What do you guys think about Okeanos? I don't know much about him.
I literally don't know much about them either. They were in my stream the other day, and I was like, didn't realize who it was, and I was just like, felt really embarrassed. Like, I was just like, oh my god. I don't really have a background here either.
No, I don't have much knowledge about them either.
Again, I've watched some MAT, and it's like, you know.
As far as I can see, or I think about Leviathan, is that Tex was having some struggle to be the aggressive sentinel that Leviathans from 2024 needed. But when he starts to click, when he starts to understand how to be that aggressive sentinel, in one side of the map you have Tex trying to lurk and getting some first bloods, and the other side you now can have Sato doing the duelist job, not only being aggressive or doing the explosive side, entering the spike side, but at least trying to put the things together, moving forward. I guess Leviathan had some problems with that. They don't have the player who do the entry, the hard entry, and now they have they have both in one player. They have a really good operator for the defensive side, and they also have a good player playing duelist, trying to be more explosive also.
I think when you talk about Lev, Sideshow, and like how do we expect them to go well, like again, I think this is completely dependent on that group. If you look at Group Omega Cut of Americas, it is probably the most wide open group where you can make a case for every single team in that group. I mean, potentially even like winning it if you really believe. You know, like if you really believe in every team, like that is. I mean, Americas is a 2-team region, as we now know, but you know, so this group is just wide open. Like, who's gonna win that group?
I mean, we'll be talking about NRG's roster move in a bit, but I mean, not that they've changed a ton. I don't know. I mean, it could be
really hard to predict.
Could be a research crew. I mean, it could be Leviathan, yeah. And I think that Nyang, to your point, the aggression that you're going to get potentially from Sato and Tex, I don't think you need Okeanos to be doing a ton. Like, I don't think it matters if he comes in and he's not as good a player as Rossi. I think you just need someone that's comfortable with the players, which presumably he is because he's been brought from the same team as Sato and knows how he plays, knows how to set him up and play around him, play off him, knows what he's comfortable doing. And also somebody that doesn't fuck the vibe, because the vibes seem tenuous on this team. And I don't know who that was or why that was, but it's lasted longer than any one player as well. I don't mean to say that it was just Rossi, but like the vibes have been on a knife's edge for this team for a hot minute. So you just need somebody who's there, willing to piece things together and play a decent game. And as long as Okeanos can do that, I think he's fulfilling his job very adequately, because the big hitting should really be coming from Sato, King, and Tex, surely. Like, you've got way too much production there to need it from everybody else.
I really agree with you, just because another problem for me for this Leviathan from 2025 is that they have some IGL issues, I guess. Sometimes was Rossi, but sometimes was not. And then King was the IGL from one match, and then the other was Rossi again. I really don't understand what was happening inside the team right now, at the moment. But
yeah, I mean, that was a funny one when Rossi was like, well, actually, I wasn't IGLing that one, so.
Yeah.
I mean, again, just not really the best way of conducting yourself. Direct the blame to them.
Yeah, I think the way to conclude with this is like, it's like there was seemingly some, I've even heard longer than this year, even the last team having some like issues too. So there's clearly some turmoil. Yeah. And these kind of players are like young, hungry players joining established players who seem like King, like these players seem like just players that want to get on with their job kind of thing. So that's all good. And then the roles will make sense now. Like the identity, there's no identity issues anymore. It's like they've got a duelist player, they got a sentinel player, they got a recon player. They, it's bog standard
Should be
Valorant,
simple.
but it should be good.
Yep. All right, let's move on to NRG then, because if we're going to talk about a team that's going a little bit in the other direction, but maybe in a way that we might like, NRG we've already talked about Finesse leaving, so we can kind of park that to one side. We've done, like, in 2 episodes, we talked about like Finesse and Legacy and that kind of stuff, but been replaced by Scuba, so that is a bit of an unusual, like, one-to-one swap. It also creates a bit of a cavity in terms of IGLing, or at least who we know of as being like classic standard IGLs. But they get Bonkar back as well, which maybe indicates that there was a little bit of like we were always a bit confused as to where exactly that friction was coming from. Maybe it's not exactly as simple as Finesse out, Bonkar in means that they were butting heads. But now you've got this team that you're seeing here. They've been successful in recent matches, like really successful. But they haven't played yet in VCT. What do you think about the issues that I've talked about? Let's start with the roles stuff, right? So Finesse was mostly playing Sentinel for them. Scuba, in his like history, has mostly been a Smokes player, but now looks like he's going to be playing Smokes, Sentinel, like, you know, the anchor kind of stuff for the team. Sensible enough? Do you see any issues arising from that?
No, I think that if you're a Smokes player and historically a Smokes player and you're moving to Sentinel, you're doing a lot of anchoring, you're doing a lot of lurking. And so like those are skill sets you should have and be able to kind of go to the next. As long as your Smokes play was a little bit more expansive and not just like, hey, I'm a cracked duelist and now I play Smokes. And I think Scuba is probably one of those players that has, you know, he's played Smokes a long time, he should know what to do. So I think transferring to Sentinel should be good. And then Bonkar is I think a good coach probably, so he should be able to make that work.
Why is the I think there? Because I've heard people say this before. Is it just because
he's got no experience, like really?
At the tier 1 level?
Like, he's coached for like... Yeah, he coached some tier 2 teams that seem to do pretty well, and people said nice things. But yeah, we haven't seen him enough. Like, his stocks are higher than where we know he is, I would say.
Right.
But I have a lot of belief in him. Like, I'm one of the people that advocates for him, for sure.
Right.
And I think when Mike joined the team, there was some interviews that they said that Mike was going to be the strategic coach they needed for that time. So I really don't understand much why the Bonkar coming back right now is going to be a solved problem for NRG. But I do think that the lack of FNS leading or making the strategic plays for the team will be a hard problem for them. But at least for now, the FNS being replaced by a player who gets a lot of kills, I guess, is really putting much work to do for NRG.
I think my read, and we kind of got to talk about FNS if we're going to talk about this, is that basically Finesse wanted a coach who shared his vision with like an anti-strat kind of game plan, kind of approach to the game, which I think is a little bit antiquated, to be honest with you. I think it's far better nowadays to focus on yourself and then have your game plan. And it felt like, from what I understand, Finesse is a lot more like, we have our defaults, but like we mostly want a game plan. And Mike's was there to be more on the anti-strat side, it felt like. Whereas I think Bonkar is more of that European style of coach that's going to have structure and systems in place. And then the game plan is like tailored around that. So I think that there probably was a clash. You know, there's that Teo stuff where like they didn't play Teo, and I'm pretty sure Bonkar is like a Teo believer, I think. So that was probably a big clash. And just the style. Like, I think Bonkar is he's European. He's like, he wants more control of the team than what the IGL might have, you know?
Which might be good for this team. You know, like, because, I mean, we got Ethan IGLing, you know, supposedly again, which obviously didn't go great last time.
It was disastrous last time.
Yeah, it was disastrous last time, but, like, hopefully, you know, if Bonkar is kind of, you know, leading more of, you know, the whole, essentially, that will be good, and, you know, they can just have a bit more structure from the start. Because, again, we've seen this year, even on NRG that hasn't been, you know, amazing this year, we've seen Mada pop off in games. We've seen some pop off in games, you know, and you've got, if Scuba is a good addition, which I think we're in agreement, you know, he should be a good, he'll at least be an upgrade in firepower, right, from FNS. So that's an upgrade in firepower. Like
A
this
huge
team,
upgrade.
yeah, exactly. So like, you know, you can see a world where this team, if Bonka, you know, has the right read on the meta and stuff like that, and they're playing good comps and they have a good structure, like, again, and they're in that group as well that is completely wide open, and I think is ripe for the taking if they're there.
I do want to make another point though about the Ethan calling, is that in 2024 when he was calling, he didn't have Som to be able to do a lot of like co-calling as well. And I know that Som is super vocal about that stuff and is very good at like, you know, giving good ideas in the mid round too. And when Som came back into the team, he came back with Finesse, and then Finesse takes over as the IGL. So Ethan has never had a period last year where he was able to be the caller, but have Som fill in a lot of the gaps for him. And I think that duo could work a lot better than whatever they had previously, where he was working with some like, you know, Demon One is not going to be that. Marved, I don't think is going to be that, even though he's, you know, had experience calling in the past, but I don't really believe in Marved as a big caller. So really, like, you were looking at Crashies, I suppose, as being the secondary IGL on that roster. And I think Som's super vocal, and he's probably going to be adding a lot to that team.
Yeah,
and also bro, the firepower upgrade is going to be fucking unbelievable.
Yeah, that's the point.
Finesse to Scuba. There's no roster move this year that's going to be a larger firepower upgrade. Sure.
And I do really like the way Ethan plays Valorant right now, because if you look to his stats from the previous matches, Ethan is almost all the time the highest assist from the match. So he also is playing the flex role, but also not being bottom frag all the time, but also having the assist that Mara may need. I do think that Mara is the main engine for this team. So if Mara can frag, I guess NRG will be doing a great job.
Yeah, which I think he will. All right, let's move on then to another team. Let's start talking about some of the Brazilian squads, because they've made a lot of changes. So first off, Loud. So Loud had a really unusual move.
What the fuck is going on?
A strange move, isn't it? So they have dropped Vinny, Tuis, Dejazine. They seemed like they were really struggling with like who should be calling for this team. I mean, I kind of want to, before we even talk about the new players, because the new players are, at least Robbie is a bit weird anyway. Loud are a legendary roster, absolutely legendary team. They came in to Valorant with an amazing team that was kind of like, who did they snipe? Do you remember this, Nyang? That roster with like Aspas, Pancada, Sadak, Sasi, that was going to be going to a different organization. Was it MIP or something?
No, it was going to be MIBR back to that time. Yeah.
Bro, can you imagine how different that would be? I mean, like, incredibly different feel of the orgs. But this year, Loud are in their first year where it feels like they're having an identity crisis. And they've moved away from Vinny as their caller and picked up RobbieBk, who played for Gentlemates. Mini, what was your assessment of RobbieBk when he played in EMEA?
There was a lot of hype for him because he's like this charismatic leader who's got big muscles and shouting on stage. And then Gentlemates were playing quite good. And then he could fight you, yeah. And Gentlemates were quite good at the time, and then Gentlemates dropped him, and everyone was like, what the fuck are they doing? And it kind of felt that maybe Mini was the secret behind the success to some degree, and we didn't really get a good read on RobbieBk. So it's like really hard for me to give anything here. Like he has all the kind of personality traits of what a good leader should be, but I don't know anything apart from that.
He also was one of the most wildly inconsistent performers. TMV, give me a breakdown of that.
Oh, he's just one map. I'm top fragging. I'm the god. I'm the best player in the fucking world. I'm standing up. I'm popping off. We take a 5-minute break. I come back into the server and I'm pooping my pants. I don't know what's going on. I cannot find a kill anywhere. What is going on? That was RobbieBk. It was absolutely bizarre. to see like some of his performances of just like, yeah, just like one map I'm popping off, and then the next map I'm dropping no kills. And
I guess
and
that's
like,
the whole point.
What, you think he fits Loud because he's just gonna be completely up and down?
That's the whole point, because why is Loud trying to change the whole communication, bring some new players and a new coach to put everyone to talk in English, but at least he should be the fragging IGL that Loud seems to need. And I don't think he is the fragging IGL. So you will change the communication to Pancada communication in English again. He didn't play it very well, was playing in Sentinels, but we can understand that he was playing Sentinel on that time, but Luke Shaw didn't know how to communication in English. So I think Loud doing this kind of move rosters is creating a big issue inside the team. So they will need to change everything. They will need to change the culture about the team. And probably the change for RobbieBk is more for that than inside of the game.
Honestly, just let Luke Shaw do whatever the fuck he wants. If he doesn't speak, I think it's fine. Just let you take that side of the map and just fucking kill 3 people, and we'll focus on this side.
But at the same time, we heard some interviews about Les in EMEA talking how hard it is for him to play far from the other teammates and trying to focus on understanding what they are calling, understand what info they are trying to pass, so he can understand if he needs to play on that time or no. So even if Luke Shaw is a great player and a huge aimer, I don't think that's going to be a easily work for, at least for this season. And I think Loud wants to be at Champions, but I don't know if this kind of move rosters going to do that.
It would be astonishingly disappointing if we got Luke Shaw dominating the matches that he's played so far. And then he's only played 3, has he? Yeah, he's played 3 games, but his average rating was, I don't even know, actually. I can't even find it. Let me have a look. Stage 1, stats, sort by rating, 1.23. He dropped 0.96 KPR, 270 ACS average. Like, truly unbelievable. It would be sad if he ended up looking mediocre on this team because of the communication barrier. Because we already know that, at least in a small sample size, he can be incredible. And I think it would leave a bad taste in your mouth if you just saw a limp version of him in Stage 2 because he'd been nerfed by the comms. But I do think that the version of the team that you have now, they had to make a change, I think, because that previous version was not working, and it felt like, I don't know, this is maybe where I need more perspective on the Brazilian scene at large, but it feels like the Brazilian scene is struggling in terms of leaders and callers.
That's true.
And so if you run out of those people, you're going to have to end up going English speaking, or at least, you know, branching out to some degree, maybe picking up people from LATAM and hoping that they can learn Portuguese, something like that.
Yeah, sometimes I think that Loud is trying to do what MIBR did, trying to find someone outside from Brazil and fit him in the team and trying to create a new way of playing in the Valorant meta and everything else.
I thought you meant
But
picking
you're-
up Aspas. I was gonna say that'd be a good idea. That'd be a good idea.
I thought you meant
that could solve all the problems, I guess.
I thought you meant losing for 3 years.
But at the same time, I think you are, to be honest, you are really right on that point, because we are lacking of IGLs here in Brazil. And that's also the point that I guess Shao was trying to bring Urango with him, because he played together. They played together. But I really don't think that IGL was the problem of that Loud, because they seem to understand everything they need to do, but when they are inside the server, someone was doing something that he don't need to do at that point. Even if Tuis was playing Sentinel and sometimes dying at first or don't understanding what the time you need to play, but sometimes Pancada doing the lurker for the last 10 seconds of the round. I guess even with DigiZin doing the awesome job being duelist, they are even if they are speaking Portuguese, they don't know how to positioning in the spike site and everything else. I think there was some problems about understanding how to play Valorant, not only just understand how to shut caller. Understand?
No, I completely agree with you. I mean, Loud were one of the most bizarre teams to watch this stage. They
almost won every game,
but
lost everyone.
They went 0-5, and the last 4 matches that they played, the one against 2G that they lost, DeJazine was popping off. He had a 1.3 rating, so did Pankada, like played some fantastic games, ended up losing 0-2. They played against 100 Thieves. Luke Shaw goes plus 23 in his debut game with a 1.3 rating. 13-3 in first kills to first deaths. They lose that game, obviously. They play against Sentinels. Luke Shaw again puts on a masterclass performance. Does you see in farming in terms of first kills to first deaths? They lose. They play against EG. Pankada goes like almost breaks the BO3 or did break. I can't remember. Did he set the record?
No,
in that
he
game
didn't.
For like
We
a best of
made a
3?
mistake with the
No,
stats.
it was almost.
Oh, but it was
us
close though,
still-
right?
Yeah.
It was close, and he was plus 30 again, 12-3 first kill to first death, and they lose the game 2-1. I was watching these games and I was like, it's spectacular what this team is doing. They are making history. It's like actually historic losses. How do you lose like this? It shouldn't be possible, and yet they're pulling defeat out the jaws of victory. And to be honest with you, I don't have a read of why or how it happened. I mean, I guess if I had to construct a narrative, it would be like, oh, well, I guess the players were just making hero plays, and that's why their stats were good. But I don't really believe that. Like, that is just a narrative from the stats.
And
I
this
guess
was
there are
picked
some
up.
major problems that even if we are talking about the IGL side, I guess the job that STK was doing was not the best they could have at the moment also. Because one more time, they seems to be much more structure in the external side of the game than inside. So I really don't understand how can you play without Euro all the time. Okay, DeJazine was not very comfortable with playing Euro, I guess, but I heard that they were training with Euro. So I don't think that STK at that moment understand how to get the best of the players that he have. Even if, okay, you have Tuis being almost the best Brazilian player to be closest of what Pankada was. And then you place him to be the initiator, the sentinel, the duelist. You put him to do everything, but not in the comfortable zone. But STK should have done a job with this team to understand what they need to do inside the server. I guess there was so much information that the players didn't understand how to put it against the other teams.
Yeah. Well, one of the good parts is that RobbieBk is very good under pressure. If you put him in a high pressure scenario, Kurt, I think you've got a clip that demonstrates this perfectly. If you put him in a high pressure, difficult scenario, well, maybe this is.
I don't know. This is a funny
this is
clip.
just
I
fire.
popping off.
He's
This
he's
isn't a
selling
fire.
the bundle for gentlemates.
Okay. Well, he's a motivational leader.
Motivational? Wow. Do you know what the
Gentle
coach is
mates.
called as well? A coach?
Leader.
What a name.
Yeah.
Another-
Incredible,
Perfect.
isn't it? No, sorry. I thought you were going to run the
I'm gonna
clip
dip the
of when
toe.
RobbieBk's home set on
yeah,
fire while he was playing ranked.
Fire ranked, yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
he had
what?
candles running. He had candles
heard
running
this?
behind him. Imagine I had a candle like there, and it
Oh,
just started
yeah.
setting fire to my wall, and he's playing ranked while that's happening, and he like looks behind him, and he's like, "Holy shit, my house is on fire!" And he just runs over and puts it out. So calm under pressure. Calm under pressure.
But
Great
do you think
excuse for
he's
why you
going to
didn't
be
win a
the? Do you think he's going to be a hype guy for Loud?
Yes, I think he's
Yeah.
going to be a hype guy for Loud. Do I think
But
he's
that-
going
but
to
that's-
necessarily call better than Vinny in like
How
in
much
English
that
Portuguese?
that matters?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
fundamentally, they have Kawanzin, Luxio, and Pankada. Like, when you say those 3 names, you're like, oh, this is looking good. And then you round it off with the players, it's just a bit... And the coach is like, it's a strange... I think
That
this
was
is when he
insane.
just joined EMEA, and so, yeah, Gentlemates would have probably been upset if...
Oh my god.
Yeah, I
Guess
mean,
they're
Wait,
playing
he
with
actually
handles in the
dealt with this
background.
so good.
yeah.
He's a leader.
That's leadership, yeah, that's literally leadership just in action right now. That initiation.
I
Dude,
didn't
Loud-
realize it was him.
That Breach is screaming at him. What the fuck are you doing, Chloe?
Yeah. Loud Loud was that candle last stage. They were on fire. They were all over the floor. They were a mess. They needed a leader to mop them up. Can Robbie be that guy? I don't know. But
Do you think this signals Loud going international long term, or do we think this is just like a fuck? Let's just do something mid-season.
I guess my read would be that it entirely depends on the upcoming
call duo when
IGLs.
Sadek's back.
Well, maybe. Like if they can
Sometimes
find
I guess
an
that's
IGL.
the problem. Sometimes I think that's the problem. Loud, the organization Loud, was trying to do what they have with Sadak and Sasi with the other teams that they have, the other roster that they have. But it's not like the way they should follow.
Yeah. I don't have an answer for you there. I mean, I think a lot of these teams are going to try to go more English speaking or like open things up if they can't find the talent from their region. So,
And also,
There's
it just
one-
helps in terms of visas as well.
There's
Yeah.
one
One of
problem.
those.
Yeah, that's a huge problem here for the Brazilian players. But we need to do something else, I guess. Don't need to always try to lead on the English players or players outside from Brazil. We have good players here, but I do agree that we don't have great IGLs. But beside the IGL side of the shoot callers, also the leadership kind of leader. Because we don't have this kind of players.
let's go to Furia. So, Furia have also, like, well, even more than Loud, like, completely retooled their roster. They
Makes sense.
only kept Heat, and they fully dropped Prize, allowing him to go wherever he wanted, which is back to 2G. We'll talk about that in a sec. But then they, as restricted free agents, now have Khalil, Havoc, Rafa just basically on the bench, and Po? I can't even remember how to pronounce the guy's
Pio.
name. Pio, the previous head coach as well. So now they've got a completely different team. They picked up Tuis from Loud, and then they have Loss, who I guess is like this is the new Less but playing Duelist. I don't know. So they have Loss, Urango.
We have
Heat,
less at
Tuis.
home.
Yeah. And Waddy is their coach, right? Because they have oh no, sorry. I'm losing my mind.
They didn't announce it yet. The team who's going to be playing the VCT Americas.
Right.
But
right.
we will have a championship, a tournament now this weekend, and they announced it, the team. I guess it is right below the link you are seeing. So they played the EWC with this team you are saying, but the team that they must be playing, the VCT Americas, is not that team anymore.
So why is that? Do you know? Like, are they just experimenting? Is it visa issues? Do
Visa
they not really know what they're
issues.
doing? Right.
Visa issues, but Furia didn't announce it yet. But
Okay.
at the same time, they will be playing this championship right now this weekend. So I guess if you look inside Valorant, they're also the team who should be playing the VCT Americas Stage 2, and is that team. Basically, Hit, Tuis, Pala, and Urango. And also with Urango, there's some problems with this team, because there are a lot of younger players. Urango, basically, and Pala didn't have much time to develop the side of the competitive side, I guess, because basically he's 18 years old, I guess, and Urango is 20. Urango is the youngest IGL we have here in Brazil. But at the same time, you have Pala, who could be, I don't know if he could be close to Aspas, but he's very aggressive. But sometimes he needs to play more with the brain, I guess. He gets very punished when he was playing to MIBR last year.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, those memories of MIBR have gone almost entirely out of my head. To the point where I couldn't even remember that Pala had been in the league before.
Yeah.
Like, MIBR is just such a forgetful team from the 2024 season. But what do you feel about this team then? Do you have much hope for them? They've been losing a lot. The like
Yeah,
not
I
this
do.
roster, but like the org as a whole. It's been rough to follow Furia over the
I
years.
do, and that's all because of Shao. I used to be coached by Shao, and he coached galleries also. So I guess the work he did with Luxio and Sato could be a great start to do with Basic right now. So he understand how to deal not only with the youngest players, but understand how to get the best of the current meta. So Pala should be playing more with Yoru, or sometimes playing with Basic playing with Yoru, I guess, because Shao, I do really like how Shao understand the Valorant way to play. And with that team, the only problem, I guess, is that they should be have some mental issues, I guess, mental problems. I don't know how to say it to be clear, to be honest, but I guess they are very young. Basically, didn't play it 1 year on the tier 2, and now he's on tier 1. So that could be the major problem to me.
Yeah. What group are they in, TMV? You're my groups guy.
Don't know.
Okay, well, you get onto
The
that.
other group, the G2 Sen group. I think.
Right, the one that is less kind of wide open. More.
I mean, they have a chance to win some games. Like, oh wait, are they in the other group? No, they are in the. They are. Wait,
yeah.
what? No, yeah. They're in the.
Sorry.
They're in the G2 Sen group.
Okay, yeah. So they're in with G2, Sen.
But they could win some of those games, right? Like they could be 2G. If things go well, maybe they'll even be like an EG.
But I do think that the project
You don't think?
for Furia is not for this year. At
Yeah,
least from what I saw and what I heard about Furia, they are trying to build the roster for next season and trying to develop the players. However, Loud, instead, they are trying to go to champs right now. And that's, for me, it's a big win for Furia. Trying to develop the team, trying to get them the best conditions they have. So even if they don't play very well right now, I don't think they will do much change for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very different outlook, isn't it? Now, one of the teams that has to play for now, though, is 2G. So they're the Ascension team, like we've talked about with the other Ascension teams that we've discussed today, they got to at least make playoffs, which gives them a chance at playing in Ascension, if not make it to champs. And I mean, making it to champs at this point is like, well, that would actually be unbelievable.
G2 have already made champs, so they'd actually have to finish higher than G2.
Well, yeah, they'd literally have to make the finals. They couldn't do it on champs points, I don't think. I think they'd literally just have to make the finals.
But they'd still be playing in Ascension if they made champs but did worse than G2. But they have to like guarantee stay in the league 100%. They have to be better than G2, who have already made champs.
Right, they have to go to champs and outperform G2 at champs. Right. Yeah. So best case scenario, they're going to be playing in Ascension.
Playing in Ascension, hopefully for them.
They at least need to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're going straight to the VCB.
Okay, and so that really like simplifies things, I think, in some sense. But their whole year was a weird one because one of their best players, their best player probably, was underage and wasn't able to play until this month, I think, isn't it? Has he just turned 18 or is he just about to, Spike?
Yeah. No, he already turned 18.
Right, but pretty recently, wasn't it?
Yeah.
June 2nd. All right, so it was 1 month ago. So about, 29 days ago, something like that. He turned 18 and one of the problems is that the rest of the roster didn't survive Spike returning. Like Zap just went down in flames, couldn't handle it, I guess. And then Prize ended up going and becoming a mercenary for a different squad. Now he's returned back to the fold like the prodigal son. What do you think this team has a better chance now, or if they had kept the original roster with Zap?
For me?
Yeah.
I do think they have the more opportunities right now. Also, if you look to LZ stats, he was doing much better now than he was with Zap. So I really don't understand what was happening inside the team, but they feel to be more happy right now. Even if they were losing all the games, winning only against Loud, they seems to be happier than before. I understand that is a huge difference. You didn't have your IGL, but at the same time, Spike changed everything to me, I guess. Because when you have Spike, Zin, and Silence playing their best, and not only Spike, Zin playing Neon, but also Spike, Zin playing KO and helping Silence to be the greatest duelist, playing Jet and everything else, I guess the structure was going to be more precise inside the 2G play style. But I also don't understand why they bring back Prize, because I really like Prize, and I understand they probably want to have the same team they played Ascension last year, but I do think Askia was a better individual player than Prize.
Is it maybe because, I mean, Askia was kind of filling the role of that like duelist flex kind of thing that Spike is probably going to be filling, right? So maybe they just needed a bit more of a supportive element back on the team, because if you've lost, I mean, if you lose Zap and Prize, and then you add Askia and Spike, and you have Silence as well, like you've got a lot of aggro players there.
That could be a problem, but I do think that the way that Askia plays and the way that I saw him with the players, I guess he was going to be a great player for 2G. But at the same time, I understand they should want to have what the feeling, the friendship they have at the Ascension time,
the brothership. See if they can make
brothership.
it. I mean, are they going to make it? TMV, are the band of brothers going to make it?
I mean, if you're 2G, their first game in Americas is against EG. They have to win that game. Like, you have to beat EG probably. Don't know what's going on with my camera. And you have to obviously beat Furia pretty much. And then maybe you have a chance against Cloud9. But then the other games are Sen and G2. Like, you know, those are probably write-offs. You're looking at, you have to beat Furia 100%, and you have to squeak one out against EG and Cloud9 probably.
Yeah.
And hope that that's good enough and make playoffs, and then run it back in Ascension and pray.
It kind of should be good enough, but then also you have to be like begging that G2
you have
and
to
Sen
hope,
keep it clean.
Yeah, like G2 and Sen, like you better farm the EG and like.
Yeah. You're hoping that, like, because I mean, to be honest, if you play one of the best teams at the end, maybe they're easing off a little bit because they've
Sen
already
just
got
chilling.
their seeded
Care.
spot or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a horrible
Sen
thing to have to bank
sub
on.
in. They bring back Shroud. You know, they.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Furia's schedule has them playing EG at the very end of the season, so that could be a
big game. Yeah.
That could be a huge one. So those are really I mean, who do Cloud9 play against at the very end? They play against G2 at the very end, and like, I mean, most of they're like kind of front loaded. Like Cloud9 are playing the games they need to win early on against like Furia, EG, chance against Sentinels. So it's tough. It's pretty tough. But I feel a bit bad for 2G because they're one of the teams that they did a great job earning their spot at the tier 1 level, and then they've just been kind of kicked around in tier 1. But we never got to see them play with Spike yet. So it's a bit unfair. It's like a nerfed
They could lean
version
into
of
double
them got to
duelist
play.
if they can learn Yoru and play Yoru. Maybe they could play a bunch of double duelists and catch people off guard.
Yeah, for sure. I think this would be one of the best teams to just lean heavily into double duelist and try to catch people.
I do think that Spike is a really good flex. So everything you put on his hands, he would do a great job. But of course, he was the best Neon player we have in Brazil back to Ascension time.
Yep. Well, the Neon meta is long gone, I'm afraid. Then again, I mean, we saw some people playing Neon with the double smokes, didn't we? If
you can up like texture, they'll be fine.
Yeah. Can anyone up like texture on Neon? I don't know about
Probably
that.
not.
Mini, are you looking at any of these Americas teams and thinking that they're dangerous of the ones that we've talked about?
NRG, but the problem is I don't want to hype up NRG too much because
it happens every time and they always disappoint.
Exactly, yeah. They need to be a dark horse team, so I think actually, I don't know.
No.
It's just one of those weird things where like everyone's got potential, but I don't see anything striking out here apart from energy. To be honest with you, with Brazil, it's really annoying. Like having Yang here to give some context. It feels like there must be a team with these Brazilian teams that like could come together at some point and do something, but like it feels like the players are not on the right teams. If that makes sense. Like it feels like the talent is a bit.
Like you want the
segregated.
old Loud where you've got all the talent.
Just
on
put
one
them all
team,
in one team.
And
Just have a
MIBR and
Brazilian.
Fury are doing nothing.
Exactly. Just have
Yeah.
one Brazilian team that we have the best all in one. We find this leader, someone
That,
like the Brazilian teams need to come together and just agree on this strategy as well. I think.
yeah, and they just take turns. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Every year.
Yeah, exactly.
Every year they rotate who has the good roster. That's the.
Aspas can be on one of the teams. They're doing okay, and then the other teams have to come together and build like a super team.
Aspas wants to play for ZETA Division, man. He wants to be out there in like Japan or the Pacific region or something, like living his anime life. You can't trap him in Brazil for the rest of his days.
Bring less back.
Bring
Get
less back.
Honestly,
Well,
yeah.
the
Vitality,
best
they
possible thing for
crumble
Brazil.
Completely.
Yep. Best possible thing for Brazil is Vitality failing utterly,
can-
and
yeah,
Karmic
can
Corp
I-
as well.
Yeah.
A weird question. I'm sorry, but what happened with MW0?
Well,
I've heard some things about him, but
yeah, it's really hard to talk here about, but MW was a great duelist, but
Mhm.
I guess he just don't understand how to play with duelists on the VCT Americas. Because
Okay.
when he was playing the initiator role, he did great. He was not the duelist that we used to see, like the showstopper, the raise player. But at the same time, he have a really good aim. So I do think MW0 needs to be with a team that he isn't the main player. Do you know what I mean? He just need to be one more in the boat. And for now, we didn't see that yet. They always try to do that. MW0 was the star player, and I don't think he is that star player anymore.
Okay, I think that does it for our show today. Thank you for tuning in to episode 223. We will leave you with the final segment, the most important segment of every week. It's Wyatt's Weekly Award.
Sage down. Headshot. Oh, hey. Didn't see you there. It's why it's weekly. Oh, shit.
Did he pull out the wrong one or something? Why was
He was way ahead of the game on console Valorant, wasn't he?
I know. I was just thinking when we ran that, he needs to have one with his mobile now and like. This week, I mean, first of all, Wyatt's Weekly honorable shout out. Thank you, Nyang, for joining the show. Really appreciate your insights on the Brazilian scene. We've got to do that a little bit more with grabbing people from other regions that are a little harder for us to be able to tap into. So appreciate that. But I'm afraid today you're not the winner of Wyatt's Weekly Award. The winner of Wyatt's Weekly Award. I wanted to give this last week, but wasn't here to do so. But I did tell a really heartwarming story, I think, of an interaction I'd had with the Wolves coach, where he gave so much credit for that run to our boy TMV. So I think TMV, for that Wolves run, listen.
Wow.
You
You got Mini here. Mini who fucking won the tournament.
No.
And I'm just here.
Again,
chat.
Minnie's won before. Minnie's won before. He doesn't need this Wyatt's Weekly Award.
nah, it's true. It's true. I don't need it. I don't need it.
Minnie's
I've never won
Minnie's
one,
got a
though, I don't
cabinet.
think.
You've never won a Wyatt's Weekly
I
Award.
don't think so. Unless I have and I just didn't watch Plat chat.
But you're not getting this one. This one's mine.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realize that.
What do I need to do to win one?
I mean,
At this
again,
point-
my anti-PaperX bias is coming out here, isn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that you'd never won an award.
I might have done, but I wouldn't have. Like,
We
no
might
one
have
messaged
given
me
one,
to
you
tell
might give
me.
one to just Fnatic in general at one point.
Yeah.
Would you say, Minnie, that the PaperX run is more unusual than the Wolves run? PaperX making first, is that more unexpected than Wolves making third?
I think the run from
this
Pacific.
team, Mini. We have
Yeah.
no belief in them.
No, I mean the run from Pacific was insane. They had to win like 7 must-win games or something at the entire thing. So
I mean, I'm joking. Like Wolves had a hell of a run. It's is it more surprising? I don't know. That's a
People
good
thought
question.
Spring was
The
the best
people
player
at
at the
home-
tournament. I cannot tell you how shit Spring was in China. He was
He
shit.
wasn't that bad. He wasn't.
He
that
was
bad.
not very.
I mean,
do
the
you want me to
neon was
bring up the
appalling.
clip?
Don't
the
put
clip
the
of him
neon up
stunning
there.
himself?
No, don't put the neon up there. But when he was playing smokes, he's pretty decent. Anyway,
No, he
DMV.
was still pretty shit.
DMV, I want you
I'll
to
take
just
the
know.
award.
There you go. You get the award. This is the Wyatt's Weekly Wolverhampton Wolves Award.
Thank you.
And it's going to you, TMV, for contributions towards Wolves' success. So you can sit there with your bronze medal and you can feel smug about yourself.
I'm very happy with bronze.
Good.
Very
You should
happy.
be very happy with bronze because it's not fucking happening again.
Oh, who are you gonna pick? Fucking heretics. What's your medal?
Yeah.
Fucking plastic wood.
Well,
What do we
we've got a
see
couple of
now
silvers.
for Wolves? Like, do we see Wolves actually like dip it? There was this like
TMV.
everything happened.
this is
at
the
once.
beginning of a dynasty.
This is the
Vinny.
beginning.
This is the beginning of a dynasty. You're about to get knocked off your perch.
Okay.
4 in a row.
It's gonna be like everywhere else in human civilization. The wolves are going to go extinct. They're gonna get pushed out, and they're going to go extinct. All right. Thank you for tuning in today to episode 223. A lot of roster news. A pretty long show. Thank you, Mini and TMV, for joining us. Thank you, Yang, for joining us for the first time as well. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being
Thank you
here.
for the invite.
Subscribe to the channel and join us next week for episode 224, where we'll be doing the top 10 greatest players of all time. See you then.